The Dumpster Fire 2025 is finally put out. And unfortunately, New York City woke up today to embrace their collective failure of voting in Mamdani, a Muslim communist mayor. Just when you thought America couldn't get any dumber, they vote in that. What possible good do they think is going to come out of that? Have we not learned from communist dictatorships that they collapse? Have we not learned from the former USSR that socialism doesn't work? Apparently not. We got a lot of dumb New Yorkers. They voted in Ilhan Omar, AOC. That's not the brightest gene pool. They voted Governor Hochul, not the brightest gene pool. Wants to ban gas stoves while using a gas stove to do some Christmas special. Okay, then. But what I want to talk about today is the disgusting reality of Christians in the ministry becoming millionaires. These people are praised. These people are exalted. They're more important than the disciples and the apostles of Jesus Christ by today's standards. More praise, exaltation, adoration, compliments are heaped on these people, and they're millionaires. And it's interesting. The Bible talks about the office of the overseer. And they're not supposed to be a lover of money. But let's get into this. I've got some stats here. Yesterday at my job, I want to share something with you. Now, you have to understand the owner of our company is a millionaire. He's a millionaire. He's a Christian. His son is a Christian. I don't have anything personally against them, but collectively, people have said they definitely can afford to bump the wages up. Definitely. That we all see the prices and the cost of the stuff as we're pulling orders, and clearly they're making a gold mine off of this. And I've always noticed a direct correlation between those in the ministry and how much money they make, and Christians too. We're going to talk about that. You got a lot of people that name the name of Christ that are the head of giant corporate organizations like Chick-fil-A, Hobby Lobby. And I do believe in free enterprise. I do believe in capitalism. But when it comes to the Christian, and you calling yourself a minister, how much money should you be making? The Bible talks about an overseer in Timothy, and it gives requirements for that. And people need to refresh themselves and reboot. Because there is nowhere in the Word of God that even hints that those in the ministry should be getting millions of dollars in salaries. Not to mention public speaking fees that these clowns charge. So at work yesterday, this is the movie that they showed. Speaker John C. Maxwell. I've heard of him, but I'm not familiar with him. And he was talking about, he did this in 2018. And he says, as the new year comes, to have the best year you've ever had, serve other people. Okay, good message. But I thought I'd look and see how much he's serving himself. You ready for this? John Maxwell is worth $10 million. He charges $90,000 to $200,000 for live events. Virtual appearances cost $50,000 to $100,000. Servant leadership, huh? He's the head of Christ Fellowship Church in Florida. Why is it that these preachers that everybody applauds and everybody praises and everybody buys their books are worth millions of dollars? Is that even right? Is that even biblical? We're going to talk about Paula White. But let's digress here a little minute. In 1 Timothy chapter 2, verse 9, likewise, I want women to adorn themselves with proper clothing, modesty, and discreetly, not with braided hair and gold or pearls or costly garments, but rather by means of good works as befits women making a claim to godliness. Let a woman quietly receive instruction with entire submissiveness, but I do not allow a woman to teach or exercise authority over a man, but to remain quiet. Wait a minute. This is America 2025. We got women in HR. We got women in management. We got women that are CEOs. How do we get around that? We can't. We're supposed to be in the world, but not of it. But watch this. What do you do when Christian women are in management and they're over us guys and they fail? They do not submit to this. How about Paula White, who claims to be a pastor? We're going to talk about her net worth. I do not permit a woman to teach or have authority over a man. Now you go to 1 Timothy 3. It is a trustworthy statement. If any man aspires to the office of overseer, it is a fine work he desires to do. An overseer then must be above reproach, the husband of one wife, temperate, prudent, respectable, hospitable, able to teach, not addicted to wine or pugnacious, but gentle, uncontentious, free from the love of money. He must be one who manages his own household well, keeping his children under control with all dignity. But if a man does not know how to manage his own household, how would he take care of the church of God? And not a new convert, lest he become conceited and fall into the condemnation incurred by the devil. And he must have a good reputation with those outside the church, so that he may not fall into reproach and the snare of the devil. Deacons, likewise, must be men, not women, of dignity, nor double-tongued, nor addicted to much wine, or fond of sordid gain. I knew a woman in Denver called herself a deaconess. Women are not supposed to be pastors, bishops, overseers. In the marriage model that God put forth, women were to be submissive to their own husbands. Does that apply to single women? No, they're not my wife. But what about in the workplace when women are in HR and management? That gets dicey. I meet a lot of people, and even in our company, why would they hire an HR woman in charge? They're not supposed to be in authority over men. We're going to crack into some deeper stuff here, folks. This is not going to be a blockbusting video, I'm sure. Yesterday was a rare event in my YouTube history of 75,000 views. That was nothing short of phenomenal. But today's study time. You're not going to get 75,000 views when we're dealing deeply with the truth. Though I was yesterday, but I was more of the freak show with the purple satin top on. We watched a video at the office lunch yesterday about John Maxwell and servant leadership, and there's even books on the servant principle. Rick Ferguson of Riverside Baptist Church wrote a book called Servant Principle, but I don't see these people being servants. I see them being, they're not preaching the hardship of God. They're not preaching about suffering. These guys, suit and ties, they've got more money wrapped up in their clothing than I do in my annual salary. And you look at this. You're a servant of the people when you're charging $90,000 to $200,000 for a live event. Aren't we about the money? You're worth $10 million. Let's run down these stats. TD Jakes, $20 million net worth. He's fallen, by the way. He's fallen big time. So is Joel Osteen, and we'll get into him. Paula White is 5 to 20 million. She's not even supposed to be a preacher. She has no business being a pastor, and that's where Donald Trump screwed up. Never should have had Paula White as the White House pastor. It says office of overseer. It's man. It's he. There is no she pronoun in there. Now, here's something. Anybody remember the program? Not Turning Point USA, but Turning Point? Dr. David Jeremiah. That's another thing. These people go to Bible college to get heady titles, a doctor. And it's misleading. You're not a doctor. You're a preacher. But it's all titles. It's all braggadocio. Dr. David Jeremiah, $50 million. These men are a generation of older men, older than me, that they came from affluence. And the ministry with the baby boomers has made them rich. The baby boomers were the entertainment seekers. And they'll throw money at entertainment. That's what made celeb culture become king and queen in our culture. By the way, I'm going to slip in an incidental. This may gross you out, men and women, but there's a black guy that has a YouTube channel talking about black women going into the bathroom and how it really stinks in there. And it's not poo-poo. It's, the why. And saying how hygiene has gone downhill. And I was reading some of the comments. If you got VD, you are going to smell awful. I have a friend in Cleveland, Ohio. He came into one of his boss's office one day, and he looked right at him and he said, and the guy was bragging about having homosexual sex with all kinds of men. No protection, nothing. And he was called into his boss's office, and he said, dude, it stinks in here. And he handed him some spray, and he literally pulled his pants out and sprayed his winky. He had herpes. I said, oh, that's fun. That doesn't go away. And VD can smell awful. But it's talking about black women and the stank and the funk down below. And I was reading the comments, and it's interesting. People who deny God, they laugh at the Bible. You should see the comments that are being left. Well, if you stop pulling your pants down for every man and get married and be committed, you wouldn't have these problems. It's funny. It always comes back to God, doesn't it? Always comes back to God. You don't want VD? Honor God. You don't want problems? Go get a job and work with your own hands. But what do we do about Christians in the name of ministry, publishing books? Steve Arterburn, by the way, no one knows what his net worth is. He heads up the Women of Faith. He wrote Every Man's Battle. I can tell by looking at him that guy's worth multiple millions of dollars. It's funny, and it's sad, and it's ironic, and it's shameful that ministry is profitable financially for the people in it. Every job I've had, I've never made big money. Never. Blue-collar workers aren't going to. And somebody can get in the pulpit and make millions and millions of dollars. Speaking fees of $90,000 to $200,000. Man, if I made $200,000, I was thinking yesterday, I was talking to my friend, can you imagine if 75,000 people, by the way, a gentleman sent a donation yesterday. Thank you for that. If you're listening, I really appreciate that. But if everybody had sent just $1, $75,000. I'd have $75,000. That would exceed 3-year salary. If everybody had donated two, that'd be $150,000. And it's amazing. You don't have to have a lot given. You just have to have the masses give little, and I could be wealthy. And that's what's happening with YouTube. People are throwing money at channels that aren't worth a dime. A married couple making baby noises over and over. What kind of a marriage is that? 600, almost 700,000 subscribers. And they go, ew. Are you serious? We're paying for two adults to act like infants. And even women on my channel think that that's funny and cute and have donated to it. I'm like, wow, you know what? Then you wonder why our country's getting stupid by the minute. The same women haven't donated a dime to this channel. By the way, an update to my regulars. I got a message this morning. Very nice New Year's message. Colette should be going home soon to her house, not to heaven. She's pulling through. This is an amazing thing. Your prayers are coveted. Thank you for your prayers. And I informed her we are still praying, and this is great news. We can't wait to see you back. She said, I can't wait to hear alive. I can't imagine what being in a coma would be like. But I personally have a problem. There's a bad taste in my mouth when people are calling themselves preachers, pastors, and they're pulling down salaries equivalent of a CEO of a Fortune 500 company. It ain't right. You look at the disciples, you look at the apostles, you look at Paul. Paul had more impact than John MacArthur, David Jeremiah, Franklin Graham, Billy Graham, Chuck Swindoll, Rick Warren, and all these people, David Wilkerson combined. God used him to write the very word of God, to establish and start the churches. He worked with his own hands making tents. These preachers get in there and they are swag-a-roo. How in the world does their mind justify that? Well, Mike, they make money off books. Books claiming to have the answer to getting over lust. Shouldn't that be free? It's funny how people want to market the answer. Have you seen those commercials or those videos on YouTube? We're going to tell you how this girl transformed her life. And it's just, they keep saying the same thing over. And you won't believe how can you just get to the point? We spent a half an hour talking about how she transformed, and you haven't told me nothing. How about the motivational speakers? I became a millionaire in just 6 weeks. And if you listen to my seminars, I'm going to show you how you can do it. But then you got to buy the kit and buy the books. And that's how they got rich. Suckers born every minute. And you buy their garbage and it doesn't work. Snake oil salesmen. But it's disgusting when you have preachers that host Christian cruises. Man, are we off the beam? I'm going to comment on John Maxwell. He wants to talk about servant leadership. You're worth $10 million. You charge $90,000 to $200,000 for a live event, $50,000 to $100,000 for a virtual. Wow, so if I pay you $50,000, I can see you face to face on a cam. No thanks. For $50,000, I could buy a Bob Deuce. And I could go for a little visit around the country and see some people. The money that these so-called Christians are throwing around is disgusting. Joel Osteen, $17 million house, $100 million net worth. Kenneth Copeland was $750 million net worth in 2021. 2024, he's worth $300 million. This guy is a clown. He's evil. Jan Crouch is worth $50 million. Greg Laurie, there's some controversy surrounding him. And I met Greg Laurie. These people are full of themselves, arrogant. I met him in the 80s. These people are so puffed up. He's associated with Calvary Chapel or connected with all of that. He's worth $5 million. You ready for Charles Stanley? Charles Stanley's worth $113 million in assets alone. He makes $250,000 a year to preach. You've got to be kidding me. Billy Graham, $25 million net worth at the time of his death. Andy Stanley is worth $50 million. That's the son of Charles Stanley. Gary Chapman, who wrote the 5 love languages that all the married couples are encouraged to buy, $5 million. Jerry Falwell, $10 million. As an incidental, I threw in Jerry Springer in here, $60 million. Trash TV, trailer trash television, brought to you in every living room in America. And I noticed the last place I worked, most of the black women love that kind of TV. $60 million, Jerry Springer. And people will tell me, well, but Mike, you talk about John MacArthur's books and David Jeremiah having good teaching. Yeah, but should we be paying that much for this? What is a good Bible teacher? They're small church pastors. They don't even make $25,000, $30,000 a year. And they're just as true to the word as anybody else. Steve Arterburn, who was the head of Women of Faith, wrote Every Man's Battle. His net worth is kept secret. Why is that? Where is the transparency? You're in ministry and you're going to hide what you make. That's disturbing. These people don't live in a house like mine. They don't live in the hood like mine. They don't work a blue-collar job like I do. They haven't had to sit behind the wheel of a bus with some of the harshest kids I've ever met down here. It's disgusting. And somewhere in the Bible it says the worker is worthy of double hire. And I have heard mostly women Christians say, well, Mike, God could be blessing them. Oh, so if you preach the word, you're a pastor, or you start a ministry, you're entitled to more blessing than people that are called by God to be a plumber, a nurse, a doctor. Now, why is that? Since when in the history of life did preachers become worth more than anybody else? Chuck Swindoll, Insight for Living, he's worth $5 million. Franklin Graham is worth $10 million. Samaritan's Purse assets exceeding $1 billion. Billy Graham, or Franklin Graham, is the CEO of Samaritan's Purse. You know what his salary is? This is when people get all into Operation Christmas Child, where you can buy a bunch of crap, throw it in a shoebox, and that's supposed to be a witness for Jesus to foreign countries. No, what they've done is package an idolatrous pagan holiday and are bringing it to children. Yeah. And you got silly housewives that feel good about buying a bunch of plastic crap and put it in a shoebox, and they can pat themselves on the back. That's no skin off their back. They and their husbands earn way more money, and it's amazing how trivial people get. But listen to the salary. This is a nonprofit organization. This is supposed to be about helping people. Franklin Graham makes $882,000 a year as the CEO. Is this even right? Christians will defend this. How much did Jesus make while he was on earth? How much did the Apostle Paul make? I'd love to know what Peter, John, the disciples that became apostles, I'd love to know what their annual salary is. I bet you the Apostle Paul didn't even make $10,000 a year equivalent. Now, granted, you have to count inflation and all that stuff. $882,000 a year. Rick Warren, he wrote The Wallet-Driven Purpose. I'm being facetious because that's what it was. He's worth $25 million a year. And here's another thing. He's the pastor at Saddleback Community Church, but he's got all his time to write books and run off with Mitch Bono and globetrot and go here. I have been to small churches and the pastors don't have time for that. Just their small congregation of less than 100 people, they're visiting the elderly, they're doing marital counseling, they're involved in church. They don't have time to do all this. Phenomenal, isn't it? Michael W. Smith was a Christian rock artist. He's worth $14 million. Bill Gaither is worth $8 million. Amy Grant, oh my. Amy Grant is worth $55 million. And we already know about her clown show. She had started out with some good stuff. My Father's Eyes, Straight Ahead, Old Man's Rubble. She compromised. She went the way of the world. Her and Gary Chapman, he was fooling around with drugs. He was a musical artist. Then she was having some flirting and going on with Vince Gill. And you look at Amy Grant today, she's not attractive. And I say this because, boy, she thought she was God's man. And she still, people are saying how she's so humble. $55 million and she's humble. I remember when I was married to my wife, they showed videos of Amy Grant laying on a rock, tits stacked to heaven, and Vince Gill's leaning over her, slobbering over her. And it was an affair. A lot of playing around. She never went down in scandal flames. And this is what's happened in America is we've turned celeb culture into deity culture. And we put celebs on a pedestal where they can do no wrong. Look at Michael Jackson. Michael Jackson was accused of possible pedophilia. Sleeping in the bed with Collie McCulkin. Home Alone. Well, Collie wasn't home alone. He was in bed alone with Michael Jackson alone. What the heck is that? If I had a 12-year-old girl in my bed, even if I didn't do anything, she just laying there in the bed, man, I'd be ruined. But he's sleeping with a 12-year-old boy. What grown man sleeps with a 12-year-old boy? Not even a father does that. Unless maybe they're in a motel room and sharing the bed and they're facing away from each other. I don't know, but I'm not going to be sleeping even with a relative or anybody in the same bed. I'm not going to do it. And Michael Jackson was never charged. And people try to defend that. Look at what celebs can do. Look at the crappy music they can make. Look at the decadence that they can spew and promote. Look at Cardi B's net worth. I didn't take the time to look it up, but I think she's a billionaire. Oprah Winfrey's a billionaire, and she made her money running a TV show, Harpo Productions. She doesn't trust in the Lord thy God. She's not full of infinite wisdom. She hosted a talk show. She made most of her riches off white housewives who had well-off husbands. And she wants to say whites are privileged. Well, honey, it's those whites that paid you to have way more privilege than most whites. How's that work? And we have a problem in society. People don't have discernment anymore. We get, the Bible says in 2 Timothy 3, know this, in the last days perilous times shall come. And one of the descriptives is lovers of pleasure rather than lovers of God. Folks, we are all guilty of that on some level. I, you, all of us. But when we put celebs, because we like them so much, up on a pedestal, we do wrong. God said, I will share my glory with no other. T.D. Jakes is beginning to crumble. He should have. He's a clown. Joel Osteen is beginning to crumble. He should. He's a clown. These are not preachers of righteousness. You can look at their mansion. You can look at their bank accounts and tell they're in it for the money. Joel Osteen worth $100 million. $100 million. What is he giving the people? I've never seen him break open the Word of God and do expository Bible preaching. He offers a cotton candy approach to God. He looks like Gavin Newsom's brother. And he's always smiling. You know who else used to do that? Anybody remember? When I was in high school, this guy was king of the television. Robert Schuller and the Hour of Power. And he had his little be happy attitudes, and he stood up there in his flowing robes. I was at the gas station the other day, and I farted more BS. And a man approached me. I mean, the guy was a clown show. The Crystal Cathedral. Wow. Whatever happened to him? Anybody remember the PTL scandal? It's called Praise the Lord, and people call it Pay the Lord. Jim and Tammy Faye Baker just blowing money out of their butt cheeks. And I want you to look at Jan Crouch and Tammy Faye Baker. I'm going to be a little bit harsh here. Both of them are ugly women. They gave the South a bad rap. You look at Tammy Faye and Jan Crouch, and they got that Southern stupid going on. Goo gobs of makeup, hair this big. And what I see with that, I do not see a genuine, bona fide, transparent, real, boots on the ground Christian. I see somebody who fell up in the makeup vat at Maybelline factory, and somebody pulled her out just before she drowned in it. And they didn't wash her off. Who wants to follow that kind of Christianity? An air-conditioned doghouse, a Christian-only amusement park, mansions, 5-star hotels and dinners. Benny Hinn spent $10,000 a night with a room that had an Olympic pool in it. Wow, really? A hotel room with a pool in your room. I can't even believe they built something like that and can get that money. I think of Carly Simon. He's so vain, thinking that this song is about him. These aren't ministers of righteousness. These are pimps. These are pimps for Satan. They're charlatans. They're wolves. They're not even wearing sheep's clothing. Armani suits that start at $3,000 to $5,000. Benny Hinn slapping people on the head, knocking them down, saying they were slain in the spirit. Clown show. Handicapped people that actually came in thinking they could be healed. He and his team ignored them. They had plants. John MacArthur talks about it in Charismatic Chaos. They would have people up there that had nothing wrong with them. They'd wheel up on a wheelchair and they'd leap up. I've been healed. Showtime for the sheep, baby. And I'm tired of it. The church in America is drying up. The only churches that are growing are churches that are catering to women and their feelings with silly, trite, dumb music and buttercup sermon preaching that doesn't get at the hard truth. These pastors that are growing these churches and enlarging their bank accounts will never preach this one. But I do not allow a woman to teach or exercise authority over man, but to remain quiet. Does that mean women are inferior? No, it doesn't. Does that mean that women are less than men? No, it doesn't. God has a place for women. He has a place for men. He has a place for children. He has a place for an overseer. And when you're an overseer, you're going to be judged more strictly because you're called by God to preach the truth. So what do you do with people like Osteen and these multi-millionaires? Were they called by God? I don't believe Osteen was. I don't believe Benny Hinn was. I don't believe Copeland was. I've heard Swindoll. I've heard David Jeremiah. I've heard MacArthur. Some of their books have helped me. But are they worth $50 million? Absolutely not. When the ministry becomes a front for being a CEO and a businessman, what are we doing? What is going on? Lear jets, Creflo Dollar. I remember when they were throwing dollar bills up there on the stage. I remember Oral Roberts back in the day. Whatever happened to him? If I don't get $750,000, God's going to kill me. Where does it say that in the word, Brother Oral? You go through Oklahoma and boy, was that an embarrassment. He had his prayer tower and heel tower and all this. I remember when I was in Akron, Ohio, and yes, I'm going to eat. And I remember 5-second rule. Driving through Akron, there's a big brick tower. It looked like a giant smokestack for an old smelter or an old mill. It was tall. And our maintenance guy that took care of the shelter care homes, one of which we were living in to run the troubled youth home, respite home, he's talking about some guy in Ohio that was a clown preacher. He said, have you been down so-and-so and seen that big tower? I said, oh, you mean that big old smokestack? He started laughing. He goes, that's not a smokestack. That was a prayer tower. I said, it is? I said, how many people can fit up there? He said, this guy was so false. Didn't finish. His views pizzled. And guess what? Because of the internet, because of YouTube, now we got little kingdoms rising up there. Benny Johnson, Mark Dice, Paul Joseph Watson, they do not interact with their viewers at all. They're strictly businessmen, pulling the money to regurgitate the news. And any of us can do that. Any of us can do that. We can watch enough news and deduce what's going on. And we do this. We exalt, we make and pedestalize these people. And I've done it myself. Oh, Paul Joseph Watson, he's great. Guess what? Enough time's going by, I'm like, is he great? He gets up there and he talks and he's got the map of the world behind him, runs his little thing, got his little bling bling and his special effects. And it's all funny and good, but I'm like, make sure and donate, make sure and donate, make sure and donate. Would you do it for love? Would you do it for money? I'm not going to lie. I want money just as much as anybody else. One, because it just makes life easier. It just makes life easier. But why do any of us do what we do? Is the Christian's life supposed to be about acquiring wealth and riches? Westminster Catechism teaches, what is the chief end of man? To know God and enjoy him forever. Now, people misquote the Bible and they say, oh, he's rich. Money's evil. That's not what the Bible says. It says the love of. You can be po, then you can love money to the point of sinning against God. You can be rich and have God totally on your side because you're not making money your God. But I've got a problem with people going into the ministry and getting salaries like that. People say, well, they got a board. I don't care. No man is worth $882,000 a year. And I've said this, I'm going to say it again. When you have a preaching, when you have an empire of TV preachers and rich people like Franklin Graham and others that are multi-millionaires, it's really a slap in the face to those of us that go to work every day and physically and mentally deal with stuff at work. They don't have to deal with that. They get to spend a lot of time in front of the mirror and gelling up the hair and must be nice. It's disgusting. What does God have to say about all that? When you got preachers making what the world makes, we got to ask some questions. What's their motive? What are they in this for? I started my channel in 2011. It was Pacific Ocean Asia. Had 3,500 subs. Some people sent me gifts. Some people sent me modest stuff on PayPal when I had it. And I shut the channel down due to trolling and harassment and being doxxed and all that. Now the harassment continues, but I'm at the point now where it's like, I don't care anymore. Let the dogs be dogs. If God's given me a forum and a voice, Nehemiah was commanded by God to rebuild the wall. And we know what happened there. Whenever you are going to do the work of God or attempt to do the work of God, you will have enemies appointed to dog you. And those that can have the most effective outreach are not the big name preachers with the big name salaries. It could be me. It could be you. When we get to heaven, we forget there's a world out there. While we're living, there's a world out there, and there are people that you don't know, that I don't know, living in other countries that are serving God so mightily, and they're in deep poverty. And they're going to be the ones that God's going to say, come up and sit up close to me at the table. Who's this guy? Oh, what? It wasn't on American TV? He didn't score the most touchdowns? He didn't have this great Christian band? Why is it that we don't learn the lesson? We exalt a preacher, we exalt a musician, and if a woman's beautiful, oh, she's got a pass, baby. All she's got to do is have some kahunas. Big or small, short or tall. No bra. She'll get all the views, all the likes. If I was to put on a wig, put on some makeup, and I was to take some hormones and grow some breasts, I could increase my views tenfold. Because there's plenty of people that like he, she, ladyboys. But Nehemiah was distressed. Jerusalem lay in ruins. And the king gave him Godspeed and blessing to go do this. And the minute he set out, here comes the clowns. But when Sanballat the Horonite and Tobiah the Ammonite official and Geshem the Arab heard of it, they mocked and despised us and said, "What is this thing you are doing? Are you rebelling against the king?" Doesn't that sound like a troll I have? One minute he says, "You're a homosexual." Next minute he says, "You're homophobic." They're gnats. No matter what you do, you can swing your tail and your fly swatter, and you can never get rid of them. When you do the work of God, you will be harassed. You'll have stalkers and trolls and haters and people that try to dog your every step. When you have an entire baby boomer generation praising and exalting and praising and exalting. Oh, David Jeremiah is such a godly man. Oh, John MacArthur is such a godly man. La-di-da. Celeb status preachers. If I remember correctly, their leader rode into Jerusalem on a donkey. These guys are driving first-class cars with air conditioning and heated seats. Give me a break. There's no comparison. We had a preacher at a church called Light and Life Fellowship. It was a Free Methodist church, and because of the silliness of Americans, they're getting away from Baptists and Methodists, and they're naming them all these modern throw-up names to make it seem more palatable. But we had a guest preacher in there, and he showed up. He had a suit on. And he started preaching about how we treat people. And he started unbuttoning his suit. He had the collar. He had the tie. As he unbuttoned his suit, you saw the shirt was all torn. He took off the suit, slipped off his slacks. He had torn shorts on underneath. He said, "The sad thing is if I came in here like this, you would treat me different than you treat me with these clothes on." Boy, am I talking truth here. People come on my channel and say, "WTF? Congratulations, 3 letters of a 26-letter alphabet. Let's work on the other 23, please." Is he wearing? Is that a question, or what are you asking that for? You can't tell what it is? Are you stupid? It's a top. When people in America ask questions, they're not asking for any other reason but to be a butt of sores. They know what it is. People are dumb. And I'm learning about the psychology of trolls. I'm learning about the psychology of comments. When you have women that are not attractive, and every video they have is their dog slobbering all over everything, and she got an irritating nasally voice, and she'll come onto my channel and say, "This guy needs mental help." Do I? I'm not the one worshiping a stanky dog. And my looks are better than yours, honey. I think I'm doing just fine. Still working on my house remodel, and I go to work, and they're more than happy with my work ethic. And while you got your little dog shorts, my channel actually interrupted a man who was having suicidal thoughts. My channel and God using me caused a husband and wife to buy a Bible and go back to church. So, do I have mental problems? I don't think so. I don't. Somebody was nice and donated $25 yesterday through my Cash App. And I thank you for that. It's been a while since anybody sent a donation. I do not have. And yes, I'm not insulting this, but one of my moderators said, a lot of people don't have Cash App. I said, really? Here in Augusta, everybody's got Cash App. And when I look how hard I struggle, I look at what I make. I would love. You got people on YouTube making money, buying jet skis, lifted up pickup trucks to give you their silly advice. You got OnlyFans, women being sluts and whores and teases. You got Sophie, who pulled in $6 million a month dressing in Victoria's Secret clothing to show off to a bunch of horny men. And she says, I'm saving myself for the right man. Really? While you're being a slut hoe on the internet. A slut hoe. And how much you want to bet she's probably a Christian? $6 million a month using her body as a stumbling block. That's not content, people. That's not. Now, I looked at my notes because I wrote down facts, figures of salaries. I just went on a search bar of the internet this morning and pulled all those up. Let me clear up something. The people that do the most mightiest deeds for the living God are not these household names of any of the preachers I just mentioned. They have found a way to help themselves to the cookie jar. And they use this. It says in the Bible, who thinks that godliness is a means to great gain. That's not a compliment. It's talking about using this to make your money. When I started my channel, dollar signs were not in my window. I've told everybody, when I was a kid, I loved the CB radio. I love communications. I love radio. I like listening to announcers. I like listening to Paul Harvey. And that, my friends, is the rest of the story. Paul Harvey, to me, was one of the greatest orators ever in my time. No one could replace that man. Everybody listened to him. It is said that he had true biblical faith in God. No slander. But I watched a video at our office lunch yesterday. It's interesting to notice. Somebody asked me the other day, Mike, have you told HR lady about your allergies? I said, she knows I have allergies. Well, man, you don't get to benefit because you can't eat any of that stuff. I said, I'm not going to make everybody turn for me. I just bring my own lunch. But I thought about that. We're not huge. We're not huge at all. We're way less than 50 employees. And they're right. If you really value each and every employee, say, Mike, what can you eat? Because I don't think it's fair. You're excluded. Let me tell you something that angers me. So when I had eyeglass insurance through my former job, it says that they cover this much, cover the eye exam for free. Frames below a certain dollar amount are free. And lenses, greatly reduced. And this would happen every time. Well, the vision in this eye is different than this, so they're not going to cover that. What? Well, because they have to make two different lenses, you don't get that discount. I said, so I'm paying insurance for absolutely nothing. And I still end up shelling out $300 for a pair of stupid, cheap ASS plastic with a stupid coating on it. And I bump something and it goes. We are getting raped by corporate people. And it really angers me when that happens because we have no recourse. Then I'd love to sue the eye insurance industry and say, hold it, you're discriminating against the handicap. It's not my fault one eye's different than the other. When we're paying an insurance, you should cover that. How many people are born with eyes that both have the exact vision? Lots. How many are born with eyes that aren't one's different than the other? It's like they say about a woman, one tit hangs slightly lower than the other. That we're not always perfectly symmetrical. Some people claim they have one leg shorter than the other. I'll tell you what, corporate America's got every way to make their money, but never mind us. One of my biggest pet peeves is the bank can make a mistake on your account. Well, we're really sorry for the inconvenience, but be late on your house note, bam, busted. You, as a corporation, should be giving me money for the mistake you made. Just like you're going to charge us more fees if we're late on a payment. Ha! But that's not the way the corporate world works. You got these pastors telling everybody, tithe, you can't outgive God, you need to give, blah, 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 blah. What are you doing with your money, preacher? $17 million mansion, $130,000 Mercedes, junkets, first class here, there, everywhere. Charles Stanley, $113 million in assets. His In Touch magazine, he's got beautiful photographs. Look at the footnotes of where those photographs are taken. They're taken by him. Look where he's going. It'll shock you. Iceland. Patagonia. Now, these aren't just places where you can get a cheap junket flight to somewhere. These are going to be expensive because we don't have direct flights. Must be nice to be a minister of the gospel. But I started my channel out because I thought, hey, it's fun. Get on here and talk. Oh, I was laughed at in the beginning. Look at this clown. When I look around at what's actually on the internet today, I'm like, no, I'm not a clown at all. I can clown up. But there's more truth on this channel, more transparency on this channel, more honest, truthful. Look at the people that make the money. Preachers or commentators. They're not showing themselves you. They're themselves. They're not putting themselves. They're just like modern news. That's it. And they're making money for this. And you got grown adults going, ew, and acting like babies, and people are throwing money at that. Proof that women in America are immature as all get out. Children, childish. There's more and more evidence coming out that most women stop at middle school mentality up here. I've watched it. I see it with women in the place I work. I see it in every place I've worked. Women in authority. Women that are moody and they're insecure and they don't know how to manage, and they're not leadership material, but they were put in that position. And they're unapproachable and they growl and snarl. Or you got a white woman who's in there just yelling and cussing at everybody. Still has a job. I remember when I was at Denver Schools, the terminal manager, Nita, had a secretary named Steph. Anybody that's called Steph, you need to run. Hispanic female, ugly face, ugly countenance. You'd have to go to her desk to get the DOT physical form that allows you to go get a free physical to re-up your DOT card for your CDL. You go to this woman's desk, She never says, "Good morning, Michael. How are you today?" She just glares at you, right dead on. So one day I tried an experiment. I walked in and I just looked. She was on a competition. She wasn't going to say hi. Do you need something? And then when she answers you, Job of the Hut, the Till of the Hun. I went to Nita's office. I said, "Hey, I don't appreciate going in here, and she's rude as all get out." You want to know what the professional manager said? "Well, Mike, that's just the way she is. If you knew how much work she did for me," I said, "What about us? We're running around getting children. We're doing work too." "Well, but Mike," yeah, but live in the woods. You know what? I'm so tired of that. I tell the truth on this channel. There's even women that will write me and said, "Unfortunately, Michael, I have to say what you say about women is spot on, even though sometimes I find myself getting agitated at what you say. You speaking the truth." I don't hate women. The problem is I love them too much. I made nothing but dumb decisions and count them 3 marriages. "Oh, what? You've been married 3 times? Oh my gosh, I knew there's something wrong with you. Blah, blah, blah." It's because of women. I had an abusive mother. I didn't know how to choose. I looked for love in all the wrong places. I am not a preacher. I am not a minister. I'm a minister as all Christians are defined by. The Bible says we are the ministers of the new covenant. That means you ladies, you can show the gospel light to other ladies. You can show people how to get to God. You don't have to go to a priest in the temple and bring a lamb and tremble and say, "Here, Jesus is the Lamb of God." It is disgusting what these preachers make. Even in small churches, 100,000 a year. Really? "But Mike, they're preaching the word of God." What do you think? They just do it for free? No. The Bible covers that. We're supposed to give. The Bible says, in keeping with your income, lay aside a certain portion of it every week. Now, we don't get paid every week, so that's talking about back in the day, you got paid daily. They used to say a day's wages. In America, we have every 2 weeks or once a month pay. Prudence is in order. You don't have to give every week unless you want to. But most of us, when we get our paycheck, I don't follow the exact 10%. I've had Christians say, do you give 10% of the gross or 10% of the net? I give 10% of the net usually because all that money that I'm paying for tax, I didn't get that. That went to the government. That's not an income to me. Don't be stupid. Why am I going to tithe on money that didn't even go to me? Government took their cut. 25% of your year, folks, is spent being taxed. And I don't follow the exact 10% rule. I do about. So, for instance, if the check is $50, I throw in $5. If it's 190 or 1,090, I'll do 109. I don't get into the cents and the picking, and I go by this rule for me. The first number that comes up in my mind, we go with that. It's to sit there and haggle, then you're getting into sin. It says the Bible loves a cheerful giver. And if you are doing it begrudgingly, stop. Don't even do it. Go to the mall. Go to the country buffet and stuff your face. Don't even do it. Because you're not doing it with right motives. You should support your local church. But if you find out your pastor's becoming a millionaire, maybe you need to find another church. Because that's ridiculous. The ministry should be profitable in one regard. That when you are doing the work of God, you should be blessed by God, but that blessing does not have to be in millions of dollars and fancy cars and mansions. As a Christian, if you are in the pulpit You better be modeling the life that shows to every believer. Our pastor doesn't live the rich life, but he has a deep devotion to God, and it shows. Joel Osteen with his dang mansion, and you walk in the front entrance, and it looks like the mansion that Al Pacino and Scarface had. I expect to see the pools and the tigers come down the circular staircases down to the. Give me a break. I hear a lot. I was talking to a coworker yesterday. I said, I read body language. Most people look at me, they think I'm young, they have an opinion about me, and they're wrong. They have no idea I'm reading the room. I watched a young lady who's one of the sales, darker skin, pretty, don't know what ethnicity she is. She'll never say hello. Women, you notice women can just be rude as all get out. But I noticed, I wasn't staring at her, but I noticed she was fidgeting with her fingers, then with her phone. All the women in there were fiddling with their phone during lunch. Guys are all talking to each other. The women, I sat away from everybody. It's funny because it doesn't take me long. I look at my life, I'm the stray dog. I sit out here. And people noticed that a couple weeks ago. I sit by the big window where I can take in the whole room. Mike, why are you sitting over there? I said that sun feels good on my back. I don't want to sit next to the guy that I can't stand. And the reason I go, I could sit in my truck like I do. But I go because I like some of the messages that we have. And I looked at John Maxwell. I don't know the guy. And I look at his net worth, $10 million, charges $90,000 to $200,000 for live events. Man, can you imagine if I got $90,000 profit after an event? Now, granted, some of that goes to the building and security or whatever the heck. And people say, Mike, you should monetize. I've been through that. Have you ever gone through YouTube Studio and checked that out? It's a nightmare. They do not make it easy. There's a whole bunch of hoops you got to jump through. And then they're going to watch my channel most closely. And if I say anything that offends the liberal Holy See, they shut your channel down and demonetize you. And I'd rather go rogue. Well, but you could do super chats. There's a guy by the name of Femyaz. He's a young guy dressing in pantaloons and girl wear to look like a little girl. And he's got a flourishing channel. And I think he made $200-300 one night bashing me for my feminine tops. And he was rolling the video and malicious. Truly hated the Bible, hated Christ. He mentioned that. And his premise was, this guy's saying he's not gay, but he's dressing like that because you're projecting. You dress like a girl because you're trying to entrap men that have always wanted to do it with a little girl, which means they got pedophile tendencies. And you're homosexual and you like these men taking their shaft up your backside. And you're going to come and put me down? You go, boy. You go. I can't wait until you have herpes in your butthole. That'll suit you right. You know, I'm tired of these people. There's some evil people. And it dawned on me, this whole LGBT thing where it's being rammed down our throats, there are aggressive, predatory gays. My 10-year troll is a predatory, bisexual man. You know, you can't just laugh and say, I'm gay. They're aggressive. I got a book on the shelf that talks about some of the acts that the SS, aka Brown Shirts Gestapo, did under Hitler. Grown men. They were a killing machine. They were having homosexual acts with each other. No. You got some homosexuals who want to see blood. Stop thinking that they're your traditional femi-talking. And Femyaz isn't even a handsome guy or girl. He's a disgusting creep. And he needs Jesus Christ. And I really got upset at it. And then I finally told my chatter, stop telling me what he's talking about. I don't want to hear it no more. My son said, well, there's 300 channels out there making fun of you. Cool. Free press. That's what happens when you're honest. That's what happens when you're transparent. That's what happens when you don't follow the status quo and you just be yourself. And unbeknownst to Femias, I'm not into guys sticking his ding dong up my butt. And I'm not going to stick my ding dong up his butt. I'm not even into butts. Not a woman. I like to look a woman in the face and the eyes, and I like her other eyes too. I'm not into women with a big VW trunk out back. I like women that are more androgynous, more, I don't like the big breeder's hips and all that. It's a preference. Not putting anybody down who's different than that. But I've had to learn. If you're actually doing something for God, you're going to have trouble. Nehemiah had Sanballat and these clowns, little trolls, running their mouth, causing damage. You had to tell those stone layers, bricklayers, whatever, trowel in one hand, spear in the other. These guys are getting ugly. Guess what, trolls? If God is doing something through me, and he's building this, then the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. Neither will you. But in time, when people grow up, stuff like Ewu channel will fall, but who cares? If they're smart, they can bankroll all that money that they're making. That is not content. I could take off all my clothes and put on a big giant Huggies and do a baby bottle go, Ewu. I could be a baby on here and get money. People would pay for that. I could go out of my mind. Look at toilet seat dude. How about the triangle dude sitting outside the shower, chanting? Now he says he's deity. He said, when I left a comment on here, it said, you are not God and you are not in control of the weather. You are forever cursed. By you? Clown show, please. But I didn't harass him. I didn't dog him. I talk about him. Somebody left my channel. I can't believe you're criticizing Ewu and these other channels. You know, you don't like it when people judge you. Hold it. People are judging me for something that doesn't impact anybody to be killed or dead. People are judging me because I'm wearing an article of clothing. Yeah, I'm going to speak out about it. But people are speaking out against myself, my channel, whatever. And as I get older, it's like, good. Give attention to it. If I'm such a Looney Tune, but Mike, aren't you doing the same thing to these guys? They're already getting the attention. I'm just commenting that forget about the person. Forget about Mr. Toilet Seat Man. Forget about the Ewu cats. What's disturbing, what I'm trying to point out, is the people throwing their money, their subscriptions to that. Point is, on YouTube, there's a niche for every single buddy. Clowns, jokers, everybody. Does it mean that they're right? Does it mean that they're mentally sound? No, it doesn't. How many times people get on my channel and say, you have mental issues. You need mental help. No, I don't. I'm not leading people astray. I'm not perverting the word of God. I'm not pimping the gospel for money. As long as I got breath, as long as God allows, I got internet, I'm going to tell the truth. whether I get paid or not. And I don't get paid. I have never made on this channel enough for even a month of my monthly expenses. And I don't live like most people. I have an old truck that I want to get rid of. Y'all seen the cost of these new pickups? I think it's sick when Sophie can wear Victoria's Secret lingerie and get $6 million a month. You know what I would do with that? I'd call up Boyce Equipment in Ogden, Utah. They take deuce and halves and they make them Bob Deuce. And they take the old military trailer bed and put it on there. And it is the definition of the most triumphant pickup truck ever. Instead of 10 wheels, you get 4 big tires. Easier to park because you have a little less length. You get the stick shifts. I wouldn't get rid of that truck at all. They go through it. They rhino line it. Shoot, I could use that if I lived up in the north. You get 4 feet of powder, and guess what? Mike's leaving the yard. If I had $6 million just once, I would leave Georgia. Super chats. You know, YouTube takes 40% of the dollar you give. So I put Cash App on there. And we talked about people dynamics. If they don't have an easy way to do it, they're not going to do it. If they don't have a button they can push. Problem is, you use certain sources. You have to give somebody the email or the phone number. I got trolls. We can't do that. They're evil scumbags in this world. They hate you. They're jealous. They're angry. They F with you. You have to be prudent. It's sad. And they are coming after us. I comment on these channels, but I have no ill will or hatred. I'm not trolling them. I'm not demonizing them. I'm just stating the facts. You're a married couple and you're going to sit there and make baby noises and get a following larger than me who's telling the truth and being honest? How does that work? Well, couple factors. Even though she's married, there's guys lusting after that little emo Ewu girl. Then you got a husband that looks like he should be in a Nissan Pathfinder with a Thule box on the front, living out of the woods. Kind of a strange combination there. And they're grown people going, ew. Then you got somebody who started a YouTube channel that shows a hand writing Death Note. What is the point of this stuff? Mental trash. It's too bad they don't have a waste management truck to come through YouTube and throw some of these channels in the trash. When a guy's out in the back and pulls that big lever and smashes and compacts it all. That'd be a good thing. I'm not here to compete with anybody. You know why? I don't need to. Because my channel's taught me a lot. There are people that want to hear real. There are people that want something deeper. And that's why many are here. Is it about quality or is it about quantity? Yes, I build my channel and I shut off the chat because the chat was distracting from my passion. And I see it every time in the numbers. If I open up chat, the numbers go way down. And there's different reasons for why people might come onto my channel. Some will, when I have the chat open, they'll wait the 5 minutes just to leave a stupid remark. They'll sub. To me, that doesn't really count as a sub. They're just doing it to be a jerk. And you see the numbers do this. You know, between 10 and 100, up, down, up, down, up, down, up, down. Then we get a spike. Then we get a spike. Then we get a spike. Up, down, up, down, up, down. I watch it. I don't even use YouTube Studio. I'm tired of it. You need a damn technical degree to get into that. And it's so much work for me to try to monetize it. And it doesn't matter. I found the easiest way to do it. And the people who make the most comments, they're not donating a dime. And I'm not trying to guilt people, but it's just amazing to me. People will pay for what they want. But if they don't think they have to pay for it, then they won't. But then they'll go over to eWoo and throw money at that. That's the part that I can't figure out. I could have turned this into members only. I could have turned this where you have to be a paid member. Casey Zander had $49 a month memberships. And I forgot the breakdown. It showed how many members he had, and I multiplied that by 49. I'm like, oh my gosh. Guy's taking in a huge amount of money annually just on this channel. And what is his stick? First he says, don't date American women. They're no good. He did that. Now he's how you can guaranteed get a date. Okay, he's shaped like a wedge. Six-pack abs, got the cowboy hat, got the jet skis, the fast boat. All of that is on his channel. And I read the comments. I've tried everything that Casey has said here, and it doesn't work. But I read a lot of these. If I have to do all this just to get a date, that is way too much work. I'll be single. Casey has women coming after him because he's rich. He's shaped like a human wedge. You can pick him up, put him in a log, and take a sledgehammer and go boink. Why are you going to pay for that? He's muscled, he's ripped, he's got the power boats, he's got all the stuff that flaky women want. Of course he can get the dates. But if you look like me, you think I could get anybody to submit to a $49 a month membership? Never thought about it, but I don't, nobody's even doing it now, let alone that. And critics will say, oh, he's just butthurt because nobody wants to donate to his sorry channel. No. I look at it this way. Bible says God owns the cattle on 1,000 hills. If he wants to redistribute the wealth and put some my way, he can do it, whether the fans are there or not. And I wanted to say something yesterday. Does hard work pay off? Yes and no. Yes and no. A black gentleman came up to me at work yesterday in the warehouse and said, you know what bothers me is people that work hard like you do. And he says, I'm not putting you down, but he said, you'll never be rewarded for what you work. He said, Mike, I've grown up in the South. I've never seen a guy work as hard as you. And I consider myself a good worker. But he said, you work harder than me and anybody in this place. And I fear that you're doing this. People just don't appreciate it. He said, you see nepotism, and he's referring to the guy in the receiving that's friends with the HR. It's very clear he was let go once by my supervisor. Management brought him back. He's 6 years younger than me, and he looks 10 years, 20 years older than me. Can't pick up his feet. He's arrogant. He's condescending to all of us, except when the brass comes around. He's got the voice of Big Bird. Oh, hey, guys. I loathe people like that. Born and raised in a Christian environment. We got a sales guy, born and raised in a Christian school. He'll never look me in the eye and say, hey, Mike, how are you? He's even made disparaging remarks to the supervisor, and he turned around and said, F you. I said, you told him that? I bet you that shivered his Christian timbers. Look, folks, I don't think I'm perfect. People want to quote Deuteronomy 22:5 because I'm wearing this stuff. Why do you keep quoting that? Are you waiting for a lightning bolt to come down and strike me? If God's not taking out these preachers that are pimping the pulpit, why is he going to come after me with a lightning bolt because I'm in my house wearing this? That's a bunch of foolishness. That's a superstitious view of God. I will give an account to God one day, and he's going to judge me for all the things I did in the flesh. And I've already admitted to my viewers, I'm probably going to get an F. I struggled through school. I hated report cards. My last 2 years of high school were my best years. I did great. I see so many people being conformists. I see so many people, they'll get around a bunch of other guys and think that they're so macho, when that's a veneer for a scared little child within. They look at me and they go, look at this clown. Yeah, I got more guts than you, little boy. You wear a suit and tie, you stand around the water cooler, you drive your SUV with one hand draped over the wheel, and you think you're tough. You couldn't do what I do? You couldn't walk through the crap I've walked through? Be abused like I have? Remodel house? You can't even operate the dang push mower. You pay somebody to do it. One of the greatest educations I've ever received was through the window of a school bus. Watching women that were moms that act like, think like, come off like they're so mature. Oh yes, I've got soccer games with the kids and I got this. They're the ones that run my stop sign. They're the ones in Denver that pulls into, says, no parking, school buses only. I got two buses behind me. We're rolling down the street and they plugged up the whole thing. And I come in, beep, beep. And the moms are doing this in front of their kids. What am I saying? My school bus became my university. And this is the takeaway. When you drive a school bus and you see suits and ties, minivan moms, you see small business owners, and you see the stuff out your windshield that you see, you go, you know what? Humanity really is crappy. When I'm riding with the HR woman back from drug testing, she took us 3 at a time. She goes, well, there's such a thing as unsafe driving. And I like to go fast, but I'm safe. Speeding is not safe driving. I came so close, and I should have said it. Hey, I'm not trying to be rude, HR, but I've got a CDL. If you're breaking traffic laws, you're not a safe driver. I've had people argue that, Mike, it's safer to speed than it. No, it isn't. No, it isn't. You're breaking the law. And you're going to tell me that's safe driving. Seeking to justify themselves, they said. I love that in the Bible. These guys would come up to trap Jesus. Jesus said, well, before I answer your question, let me ask you this. And the verse would say, seeking to justify themselves. Remember Gavin Newsom? Had sand put in skate parks. Had people tear up playground equipment. Told hair salons and restaurants they all had to shut down. Everybody had to wear a mask. Remember his big claim to fame when he went to a fungus restaurant? A French restaurant to get his fungal truffle dinner, $300 a plate, with his wife and a medical entourage. None of them had their masks on. They must not have believed Fauci that a mask was necessary. And they had it all on live video. And when he was confronted, he just... And this is what California votes in. Garbage on legs. Mike, you're a Christian. You just call Gavin Newsom garbage. He is. He's running with the devil. He's liberal. He's going to hell. And he's full of complete arrogance and disregard for the truth. I don't have to respect that. I'm no danger to Gavin Newsom. If I was his neighbor, he wouldn't have any problem with me. I know I'd have a problem with him. Can you imagine if I pulled up in a deuce? Mr. I'm going to save the environment. It'd be tempting when I start that up in the morning, you know, and get him all riled up in his bed. I wouldn't want to live next door to that. I don't think that those people should be leaders. They're power trippers. They have an agenda, and their agenda is to further the dominion of darkness. Me wearing this shirt is not promoting darkness. You could look at it as tongue-in-cheek. You could look at it as a shtick. Now I'm going to go back to what I said in the beginning. Did you quote Deuteronomy 22:5 at Tyler Perry? No, you thought it was funny. How about Three's Company? Guy living with two chicks. Oh, that's biblically wrong, right? How about bosom buddies? Two guys couldn't find an apartment. They found one for women, but you had to be women, so they dressed as chicks to be able to rent. Anybody quote Deuteronomy 22:5 to them and send it to them and beat them over the head with it? Nope. And they weren't even telling the truth. They were actors. You'll condemn me, but you said nothing about Tyler Perry when you watched Medea. Funny how that works. If it's wrong, then it's wrong, and why do you endorse it here and judge and condemn me here? You hypocrite. Remove the beam from your eye to see clearly the speck that is in mine. Boom, baby. Let's bring it on. You never know when my turbo is going to spool up. Well, it's spooling, baby. Hear that whine? You want some cheese and crackers with it? It takes guts to do what I do. Because when I go out in that world, I'm a nobody. When I go out there in public, there's nobody going, oh my God, la 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 la. Nobody. You got a lot of black women and white women. They won't even look at me, smile at me. They glare at me. And I'll go. And they won't even acknowledge. Won't even smile. Zombie, zombie. We are in the zombie apocalypse. That's why I need my truck back. So I have a zombie apocalypse rescue truck sticker on the door. And to promote somebody John Maxwell, who's sitting at the top of the cash, talking about servant leadership, talking about serving others. What's this, bro? Looks like you're serving yourself. I like your affordable fees when you host an event. You know, Bill Clinton, Hillary Clinton, some of the biggest scoundrels in the history of the United States. They robbed Air Force One. They stole stuff out of the White House. And Hillary and all them had keyboards damaged before Bush got in. Wasn't that nice? Grown people acting like middle school vandals. And they said they were poor when they left the White House, but they started the Clinton Foundation. And Bill Clinton, who was one of the most worthless presidents ever, right up there with Jimmy Carter and Barack Obama and Biden, making $200,000 a speech. Now that would be like listening to Charlie Brown's teacher. What? Really? I'm sorry to say this. Call me a narcissist. I'd rather listen to my own videos over again than any of these Democrats any day. Sometimes I laugh at myself. I go, man, that was actually pretty funny. God's given me a gift. Bill Clinton doesn't have a gift. Barack Obama doesn't have a gift. They're in the kingdom of darkness. What do they have to give? Zero. When you are in God, you have something. When you are not in God, you have zero. But we got a problem. We got preachers making millions of dollars. So what are they saying by that? They'll sit there and talk about sermons. Heaven's not my, or earth is not my home. I'm just passing through. Well, you've lined your temporary account with quite a bit of cash here, buddy. Are you really looking for the train to come into the station? Don't think so. You look at a model. Look at a model. You want a model to go to the Word. Look at the apostles. They suffered excruciatingly for their faith. Paul wrote his epistles from heaven, not from a $17 million mansion. My best life now. Want some cotton candy, kids? Paula White with her dress barn long sleeve shirts. What a clown. Joyce Myers talking like a butch bull dyke lesbian. She writes a book called Approval Addiction. I forgot to mention Beth Moore. She's worth quite a bit of cash too. Beth Moore, let's unpack her. Not a genuine person. Doesn't like her brown hair, so she dyes it blonde. It looks like crap. Looks like somebody put an oversized Tupperware bowl on her head and went, got the Karen look going on. Got that mansion. Charges an exorbitant amount for her little Beth Moore wisdom retreats or seminars or whatever. And she's got a book called It's Not About You. No, it's just about Beth. I remember when I was in Hong Kong and I chased Beth around, I was obsessed with Beth. And it took me a long time to unravel my fingers from the disgusting illness I had called yellow fever. You're all about Beth, and Beth is not into you. You had put her on a pedestal. She's acting like a bitch. She demands your money. She's rude, and you give in to her, and what is she doing for you? Zippo the hippo. So I found her Facebook page a year ago, changed her name or whatever, and she was dressed like a witch, a Halloween witch, and I put a laughter. Oh, she blocked me right now. Why'd you block me? I'm laughing because it fits you. You were nasty to me. She claimed to be a Christian. She claimed her dating profile. I want a man who's close to God. Why? Because you're a witch and you want to destroy him? Some of you say you can't believe the wisdom that's in me. Well, some of the mistakes I've made are atrocious. Because even as a man, I've made feelings-driven decisions. I thought I had a piece of tissue stuck here. I love it how corporate people can promote Maxwell, talking about if you want a better year, serve others. Now, look, but sometimes I hear a message and they don't give qualifiers. Throw out this message, you go out, well, I guess I don't serve people. I guess I'm not. Mike, you're serving this company so that they can get richer. You are doing 110%. Don't worry about it. You're not making big money doing what you're doing. You're doing your job as unto God. That's it. Does that mean you got to bake apple pies for everybody in your neighborhood and do all that? No. Bible, we talk about gifts. Some people have the gift to serve. Some people are called to preach. Some people are called to teach. Some have the gift of hospitality, and you do not put everybody through the same funnel, even in the church. The Bible says, serve one another, be kind to one another, exhort one another. Boy, we got all the people exhorting me, don't we? Deuteronomy 22:5 says, no, you're the 888th person to say that. Did you quote the rest of the Bible to yourself? Well, did you? No, then shut up. If you think I'm such an abomination, get off my channel. It's a simple. You don't need any medicine. You don't need a prescription. Get off the channel. Problem goes away. Michael gets to be himself. You don't approve. You don't watch. Now, I'll say it again. If you don't like the way I dress, but you want to camp your butt on my channel, then donate $25,000 a year. Then you can be one of my board of advisors, one of my financiers. And if you're my financer and you're paying my salary, then I'll get rid of the clothing. Fair deal? But Mike, you're a Christian, but you're a bossy butt. And you want to get your way to control me, and you're not. You're not the Holy Spirit, so give up the office. You were not called to be the Holy Ghost. There's no vacancy. There's one Holy Spirit, and you are not it. My mama told me to pick the very best one, and you are not it. I'm going to Holy Ghost HSU, baby. Holy Spirit, you. So you don't think I have a right to tell you? Read the room. People say it. So keep saying the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. Your name is Einstein's definition of insanity, and you call yourself a child of God, and you're being dumb. Don't worry about my shirt. You got some lack of wisdom issues going on. You got some lack of mechanics. This is my style. I'm not a preacher. You're not sending me millions of dollars. I'm not living in a mansion. What is the problem here? It's amazing in America, so many people want to fixate on a flea. Well, then go get a flea collar, buddy. You're so worried about a flea, then get yourself a flea collar, a Hartz 3-in-1, takes and all that, and put it on. How do you like that? Stick that in your pipe and smoke it. We got major problems in this country, and me wearing this top or anything else is not one of them. Now, say it again. Did you quote Deuteronomy 22:5 to Tyler Perry? Nope. Then shut it. If somebody wanted to pay me to dress in women's fashions and be on a show, I'm going in. It's an honest living. Now, if they want me to promote the LGBT lifestyle, I'm going to say no. No, I'm not going to do that. But Mike, you've admitted sometimes you've had same-sex desires. Yes, but I do not endorse the LGBT movement. I will not undersign for that. I'm man enough to admit that I and many people I know struggle with all kinds of sexual sins. Okay? That's called being honest. It doesn't mean I'm available for a gay hookup to somebody on my channel that's gay and thinks they're going to get a shot at my butt. You're not going to get my butt, and you're not going to be in the bed with me ever. The closest you're going to get to anything is you can sit there in your chair at home and go when you look at me, but I don't want to hear about it. If you get a good orgasm on that, that's awesome. I like having good things to look at to get an orgasm so I can get on about my day. And you got those clowns in the church. Masturbation is a sin. Well, you don't get any Grey Poupon, buddy. I'm so tired of this treadmill. This is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong, this is wrong. It's like a printing press. What is there I can do that's right? Oh, if it feels good. Nope, can't do it. You're smiling. You're having joy. You can't do that. You're supposed to be miserable. I see that at work. I'm very satirical, and some people cannot see it because they're stupid. I'll say out loud in the warehouse to my coworker, I said, if I catch you smiling again, I'm going to write you up. You're not supposed to be happy at work. He'll start laughing. He knows exactly what I'm doing. He says, you talking about crabby pants back there. I said, you darn right. I will find a way to preach. Whether it's directly or indirectly, I do it all the time. And you got girls that smell like fish. I know, because I've had them on the bus. B.O. Hair under the arms, and they're laughing and making fun of me when I have to get up and address the bus. Not them, but some behavior going on. One laughing like a hyena. You think I can say what I want to say in that bus? No. Girl, you're laughing and making fun of me. Have you looked under your arms lately? There's more force under there than there is in the whole state of Georgia. And if you smelled them pine trees under there, it don't smell like pine. It smells like marijuana, skunk, or body odor. I don't know which. I love how I'm living in a day and age where low class, no class, trashy people are mocking me. And what gives you the authority? You don't even have good hygiene. And you're going to judge me. Okay, that's rich. If I wanted to die, if I wanted to commit suicide, all I do is say, raise your arm and let me sniff. Woo! It'd be like chloroform. Michael, you're in heaven. Is that smell gone? Yes, Michael, you're good. You can breathe again. Some of these women, they got this attitude because guys will have sex with that too. Got a big old head. Yuck. Women that don't shave under here are gross. I don't care if you're offended. I'm offended. If you're going to do that, at least cover it up. I'm sorry. But a lot of women out here in this culture have little or no hygiene skills. And they run around saying, whites are racist, whites are privileged. Oh, okay. I guess you've never listened to my channel. Privileged to be given up by my first mother. Privileged to be adopted and abused by my second mother. Privileged to be lied to and, deceived by my sister. Every white woman I've been with has done me wrong and caused scars. Yeah, I'm privileged. Oh, boy, baby, I love that privilege. I should have been singing Boy George's song. All they want to do is hurt me. All they want to do is make me cry. Boy George was a fruitcake. He made more money than I do. Fruity. Not an ugly, not a pretty man, not a pretty woman wannabe, whatever he was bizarre. Drowning in drugs. I read a couple comments from him when I was reading something on the internet years ago. It wasn't even about him, but he happened to be thrown in there. His greatest memory is when his brother pulled his pants down in church. He thought that was really awesome. Kind of tells you where Boy George is at regarding church and God. And what is Boy George's God? That thing between his legs. Where is he now? What's he doing? Do we even hear about him anymore? Boy George was not pretty. He looked like a tranny that would walk up and down some sad street in America. I'm not being nasty. It would be awesome if he got saved. I just think it's funny that a lot of these twat women that get on here and make rude comments to me, I go and look at them if they have a video. Man, you're not even attractive. And all you got is dog shit on your channel. Lots of dog shit. Okay, yeah. That's called content, huh? I'm going to say something because people get mad at me and people told me you should get a dog. You know, the Bible says that dogs, pigs, all that were unclean. I understand we're not under law. But the same women that want to judge me for wearing this, when that was in the Old Testament, will ignore the fact that in the Old Testament, dogs were considered unclean. And even in the New Testament, after salvation, the Apostle Paul referred to the Judaizers, he said, them dogs, those mutilators of flesh. A dog in New Testament culture was not looked on with the level of worship that we give it to them today. I saw where a couple went out driving around to look at Christmas lights, left their Christmas lights on and burned the house down. And I read the comments, oh, the firefighters were true heroes in saving the dogs. That's not a hero. Really? It's important that the dogs were saved. I'm sorry, I'd rather have my house than the dog. That's crazy. That is crazy. They got funeral homes in Hong Kong for dogs and your pets now. They got an animal cemetery in Commerce City on, what is that? Is that 56th or 72nd Avenue? When I delivered trucks and was running around Commerce City. Literally a pet cemetery. They got dog spas now. I had a buddy that lived down in Florida, and a lady he knew was starting a dog spa. Have you seen vet bills for an animal now? They rival your child for doctor visits. Being a vet is way to exorbitant amounts of money. What does God think of this? Oh, but they always quote to me, well, wise man cares for his animals. Yeah, let's talk about people in Israeli culture that have livestock, donkeys and cows and goats and stuff and chickens, not a dog. And there's a black guy on YouTube, and I love his channel. He hates dogs. And I'm like, this guy is speaking the truth. And grown women that are divorced and not married have dogs. And they go on and on about their dogs. And they talk about their dogs. And they worship their dogs. And they let their dogs sleep in the bed with them. Yuck, yuck, and double yuck. I will not date a woman who has dogs. Will not. Not going to do it. You can let your dirty, filthy dog sleep in your bed. Well, my dog's clean. No, it isn't. It licks its butt. Do you lick your butt? Would you date me if I turned around and licked my butt? How about if I came up to greet you and sniffed your butt and sniffed other men's butts? That's what dogs do. How about if I come in your house and slurp out of the toilet and then go eat something dead in the alley? And then you let that dog lick your face. Yeah, you're special kind of messed up. My mom was abusive. She wanted dogs and puppies and kittens. The cats would tear up the furniture, piss, poop. She'd never get mad at them. We were being kids. My cousin and I'd be silly and laughing at something funny. Not malicious, but my mother would blow up because we were being silly. Now I worked with children. I remember when I was at Denver schools, you had some Denver school teachers that were nasty, and it was the younger ones. They come out with their class pretending to be so authoritative. They'd walk right on that bus. I'm looking at them. They won't say good morning, hi, smile, nothing. I'd say, ma'am, are you the teacher? Yes, I am. Oh, and a bitch, too. Awesome. You're teaching bitch class 101 today? Rude. And I watched how they were with the boys. Always wrong. I did a field trip. And you had these uptight female teachers on there, all of them immature. I listened to their stupid little conversations where they're pretending and thinking they're so mature. And I thought, a lot of school teachers never graduated beyond middle school up here. And I saw that. I saw that over and over and over. I picked up the Superior Senior High girls in Superior, Wisconsin. Just as a sidebar, Prince, before he was big, used to go up to Soup Town, they called it, hang out in the bars up there. Why he'd leave Minneapolis to go to Superior, Wisconsin, a little podunk shipping town where the Edmund Fitzgerald set sail from. It's called the Twin Ports, Duluth, Superior. And you had two sides you could go out. There was Minnesota Point. You go out the Wisconsin side or you go out the Minnesota side. And I picked up the senior high basketball team. I did it for years. None of those girls were ever friendly to me. Neither was the female coach. They never said, oh, so good to have you again. How you doing? I love driving the bus. But it bothered me. I'm like, wow, these girls are so rude. It'd be 25 below. I had to keep the bus running. I'd always keep it warm. Never did I have the teacher, and I had snowstorms, blizzards on the return trip. Coming across northern Wisconsin, late at night, in the dark, realizing I've got a whole group of people on here, but I am alone in here. A lot of man-hating up there. And you listen to these girls and the stuff that they laugh at and the dumb conversations they have. I thought, these girls actually believe that what they're talking about is so important. And they think they're superior. No pun intended on the town they lived in. I like to tell the story of Denfeld High School. It was Christmas vacation. My boss said, hey, you want to take a trip to St. Cloud and Cold Springs for 3 days? Yep, I'm on it. I went down to Denfeld. School was not in session. Winter break. Coach comes out. Hi, do you know where the coach bus is for Cold Spring? I said, I don't know about a coach bus, but I'm here for Cold Spring and St. Cloud. We ordered a coach bus. I said, well, I know nothing about that. I only drive school bus, and they send me to whatever trips are involving that. And he goes, hold on. He goes back in the gym, and he comes out and he blows up at me. I ordered a GD coach bus, not a GD school bus. I said, again, sir, I have no control over that. I'm not the one who sets that up. I'm a driver. They dispatch me to pick up a group. And I believe it has to go through the athletics department. It has to be over 210 miles to get a coach. He goes back into the gym, comes out, and he says, your boss wants to talk to you. I said, okay. I follow him down the stairs in the men's locker room, go into the coach's office. And my boss, Mike, you don't have to put up with this. I said, what do you want me to do, boss? You don't have to take this. He said, I told him that it has to go through the athletics director. We did not get a notice from the athletics director about a coach, and that he'll have to talk to the athletics director about that. When we get the docket that says that they need a bus for this, it will state whether it's a coach or a school bus. And I've told him that. And I'm just letting you know you don't have to take that. Okay, I'm going to take the trip, boss. You pay me to drive, I'm going to drive this group. Let me tell you about what this white boy went through with a bunch of white snot girls for 3 days. This is a true story. I didn't wear this. It's too cold to dress like this. I had a beautiful sweater, my nice black jeans. I dressed nice for those trips, for me. I had a nice bus. I kept it clean. I took care of that bus. These dang girls come out. Coach is showing himself to be a little boy in front of these girls and angry and very upset. And every girl comes up the stairs and gives me the devil look because somehow it's my fault that they didn't get a coach. Immature, ignorant, don't know about something called process and paperwork, athletics department, got to go through the superintendent of the schools, and then they shoot it over to, us. Stupid. And then the coach comes up the step well and he says, I'm not riding this GD bus. I'll be driving my car. I'll see you guys in St. Cloud. I'm thinking, oh my gosh, that's illegal. Coach is supposed to ride. Like, this is going to be a basket of fun doing these girls today. So my adrenaline's up. It's winter. It's 25 below. There's snow on the roads. Duluth in the winter sucks if you don't like winter. Cloudy skies, cold, polar cold. And I get out on the interstate, I-35, turn my big old wheel, look in that mirror going, this is going to be a fun group for 3 days. They hate my guts, and this has nothing to do with me. Get a little ways out, and they all fall asleep. And I said, this is the most beautiful time. I look up, and they're all... I got over 200 miles to go. They go down. I take them down there. They play games that night in Cold Spring. The coach did ride my bus to Cold Spring. The next morning he came up, he says, I want to apologize to you. Thanks for having the bus ready for us. And I said, I understand, coach. I said, I have nothing to do with what bus they get. I'm a school bus driver. I don't even drive the coaches. And if they have a trip slated for a school bus, I'm available. And he apologized. I thought, okay, cool. Could you run us over to the mall? We're going to have breakfast over there. We got back-to-back games starting but I told the girls to take them for a treat at the mall in St. Cloud. All right, no problem. Never once did those girls say good morning, hello, thank you, ever. This is what we raise in America. All you blacks out there to think I only talk about blacks, I talk about everybody. There's a lot of white, chitty girls in this country. And I'm going to say something bold. About 90% of the women in this country suck. They got an attitude. They're entitled. They're narcissistic. Do you think I care what they say or think about me on my channel? And it doesn't matter if they're ugly or pretty. They all think they're God's gift to whatever. They literally wake up in the morning. I'm here and you're a zero. But they don't believe that. 3 days, and this went on. I can't tell you how many times I drove the bus in Duluth with nasty, wretched women. And I didn't do anything. They trashed the bus, left garbage all over the floor, and the grand finale was after 3 days of dealing with their nasty little funk attitude. It's nighttime. It's cold. They had their last set of games. You want to talk about confidence. And you sit in a bus all day running the engine. The boss said, do not turn that bus off until you get to the hotel and you plug it in. Keep the block heater warm. Yeah, I took that serious. You think the boss wants to get a call? Hey, I got a dead bus and I'm 200 something miles away. Yeah, that's not good. While they're doing their games, I go and diesel up, go get my snacks, and I'd turn my bus into the sun to have that sun come in when the sun came out. And I'd sun warm my front area. And you're idling. And it's so cold, and you see this white smoke coming out the tailpipe that just hangs in the air. And the girls would come out during different stages to get stuff off the bus. I'd open the door, and they'd stomp up the stairs and glare at me every time they came up the stairs. You know how many times I say, why are you being a little bitch to me? I've been driving you guys 3 days. I have nothing to do with this coach disaster. Why are y'all taking it out on me? You guys don't deserve a school bus at all. You deserve a dang cattle trailer, and you can put them all in there with the cows and go, meh. That's what you need to be shuttled in, biatches. I cannot stand when people come on here and judge me. They have no idea what I've done and what I've gone through. So-called normal society is not nice. So I don't care what nobody thinks of me. I have to stand before God. Nobody out here, nobody I've driven, nobody. I got to give an account to God. And guess what? All those girls, all those coaches, all those nasty people, way back in the day, God will remind them of the way they treated me. Oh yeah, he doesn't forget those things. And I felt little things hitting the back of my head in the Minnesota night, going up Interstate 35. And I pulled over on the shoulder. The wind was screaming out of the north, so I had a headwind. I stood up, I said, for 3 days, I've had to deal with attitudes through no fault of my own. I've given you a nice ride, I've been polite to you, and now you're throwing stuff in the back of my head. It needs to stop. Because you're about tempting me to get off of this bus, turn it off and walk. Is that what you want? Because I will walk back to Duluth and to deal with this. I'm dressed for it. Are you? I tell you what, these teenage girls today, horrible. And they get away with it. Basketball coaches, teachers, school teachers. So I had a field trip in Duluth or Denver. And women do not know how to raise boys. They're so hard on them. Boys are made different. They want to get out and develop motor skills. They don't want to sit in class, cross their legs, and learn about crap. the school system in America. The government should stop this lopsided. It's all run by women. We don't need women over men. And now there are managers and our supervisors and our bosses. And I'm telling you, every place I've been, they fail. I had a supervisor in Denver that was good, but she had a flaw. I would not bother her at all. I'd come in with a discipline problem with the boss. Hey, I need to talk to you about something. You and everybody else, I said, man, I try not to bother you. Mike, I got so much to do. I said, I can only go to you. What do you want me to do with this? Whining, complaining to me about her duties. Well, then don't accept the position. But I had a field trip to something in the town, the city of Denver. They got done and they get on the bus and they always do roll call, which takes forever. When I say your name, please respond. And there were 3 boys sitting up near the front. And when they called each one of their names, Tom Bryant, toilet. Bradley, toilet. Timmy Smith, toilet. All right. If somebody says toilet one more time, you will have detention. I don't want to hear toilet. Either say here, if you're here, and if you're not, don't speak. If you're not, don't speak. That made sense, woman. And you're a teacher. If you're not here, you're not going to speak. These people call me mental. I saw more mental behavior by administrators, teachers, and minivan moms and professionals in suits and ties. Basic Law 101, when you see a school bus with flashing red lights, you stop. They go. I watched a businessman in Duluth drive up on somebody's lawn. There was nobody behind me when I made the stop. I came down in a residential neighborhood in the lakeside area of Duluth. Nice area. Kids are right here at the service door on the grass. And the kids start yelling, Mike, look. Oh my gosh. I look in the mirror. Here comes a car around me on the right from behind. I laid on the horn. Guy in a suit and tie going like this, driving on somebody's lawn on the right to pass me, almost hitting the children lined up. I got that SOB's license plate. I'm like, what is this guy thinking? He's a professional. I could tell you story after story from Duluth to Denver to Spokane to all across the nation. I don't care how many degrees you have, what kind of a car or house or trophy wife. When I see you drive, you have shown me yourself out right there. And you have failed. This is the problem of most Americans. They don't realize it's about the journey, not about your titles, not about your BS and your acquisition of crap that's not going to follow you when you leave this world. If you can't stop and be safe around a school bus, you're not a professional. You're not worth 10 cents to me. You're garbage and you shouldn't have a driver's license. HR going to tell us, well, there's a difference between safe and unsafe driving. Now, I go fast. Yeah, that's unsafe. You're breaking the speed limit. And you're a Christian. But let's worry about what Michael's wearing. That's really harming America, isn't it? You know what's sad? I got more macho in me than most males. I got more balls in me than most men today that think they're tough. And I got more feminine sweetness in me than most of today's so-called ladies. Boom! I combine feminine with masculine and it works well with me. I don't want to be like anybody else. I drove a bus for a living. I think most everybody out there's got some major problems. I got up every day to drive that bus happy-go-lucky. I couldn't wait to do another bus trip. Even with shitty people like that on board. Do you know what? Those little brat girls, those high school girls, from Denfeld High School, I bet you none of them are pretty now. I bet you they're entitled. I bet you many of them are divorced or lesbian and miserable. And I bet you if they were to get on here, they wouldn't even remember who I was. It's funny, I remember those things well. This isn't just isolated events. The school bus was my classroom. Behind me and out my windshield. I thought it was funny. I had to put my hand over my mouth, my back to the teacher. And these three boys, when you grow up around out of control people, when you grow up under oppressive women that are going to dominate boys, guess what happens? We act out. And I'm laughing. I'm like, you go, boy. Keep saying toilet. These women are biatches and they need to be stopped. I remember pulling up on London Road in Duluth. I had a, what the heck was that school called? The Montessori. I picked up one boy and one girl. And I picked up this boy. They were from Britain. She had the British accent. She lived in one of those old world Tudor mansions. And she was uptight British. She was part of the Tea Society British. Her kid, that guy talked my ear off. And he had that British accent. And when I opened the door, he's standing next to his rigid prune juice mom. And he's saying over and over, toilet monster, toilet monster, toilet monster. Stop that! You stop that! Why are you saying that? I'm like, oh, this kid's my friend. Toilet monster, toilet monster. I love uptight women. They think they got everything under control. And that little boy's just saying, toilet monster, toilet monster. You go, boy. Show her who's boss. Women, you don't know how to lighten up. You laugh at dumb things. And then when you my mother judging me because my cousin and I were silly and laughing at, we're kids, Mom. I admit, my dad got really upset when Billy Adkins and I were in the backseat of the car from LA to Mammoth, a mere 300 miles. And I kept saying, because I'd never heard of the TV show until we were down there in LA called the Barbapapas. The Barbapapas. I still remember it. Like, what's a Barbapapa? And I was stuck on that. I was in middle school. Middle schoolers don't let go of things. They're like the dog that got that fresh bone and they're going to just chew and chew and chew on it. Then all the way back to Mammoth. Baba Papa. And he'd go, Baba Papa. And when we went home that night, and my dad finally unleashed his fury in the house. I got really tired of listening to you say, Baba Papa, all the way. Little did I realize when I grew up, I'd be feeling like my dad. I drove a middle school bus route here, and a black kid, big chubby black kid, kept, while we're loading, does anybody want to tickle my pickle? I said, all right, stop. What? I said, do you hear what you're saying, young man? I just said, does anybody want to tickle my pickle? I said, okay. So I stood up and faced everybody. I said, so let me try this. Does anybody want to tickle my pickle? How does that sound? And all the girls laughed. Yeah, man, that ain't right. And they all looked at him. Quit saying that, you pig. He goes, I get it, mister. I'm sorry. I said, thank you. Damn kids. I love kids. I tried to work with them. But they're being raised so wrong today. These mothers that spoil their little girls and try to dress and act just like them. That's really awesome, by the way, not. And girls are stuck up from a very early age, and they're nothing but a liability to society. And now they're all over the internet, showing their armpits, thinking they're all that on a stick, while living in their bedroom all day long, eating up all the hearts and likes. Welcome to the Penis Olympics. That's all they're contributing. For some grown man to sit there and go, that's it. That's it. And people throw money at that. I said, dude, why do you keep saying toilet monster? Your mom's getting mad. I know. I think it's funny. Women still don't realize this day being over strict or being too permissive or two extremes. That boy didn't act up on my bus. And when he went to get off the bus at school, he says, bye, mister, bye. And he goes down the stairs, toilet monster, toilet monster, toilet monster, toilet monster, toilet monster. I just shut the door and said, I got the best routes. I remember taking a Maurice's convention from the downtown Holiday Inn on Superior Street in Duluth and taking them over to the Duluth Entertainment Convention Center and then shuttling them over to the Park Inn on Park Point on the edge of Lake Superior. Then they had a cocktail bar up in there. And when they got on my bus downtown, these women were dressed in Maurice's style clothing, skirts, sweaters, whatever. It's a Midwestern store chain. I haven't seen them down here or out west. I think it's Maurice's Fashion or Maurice's for Women or something. And they had a convention of all the big shots, fairly attractive women. But the minute they came on my school bus, oh boy, did they think they were all that on a stick. And a bag of chips too. Walking up the steps, none of them smiling and saying, hey, how you doing, sir? Listen to their lady immature talking and bantering over to the convention center, then shuttling them over to Park M. And the head of the whole thing said, you wait here till this long, and you can leave at this time. And if they come out, they come out. If they don't, you're free to go, sir. Okay. They came on thinking they were all that. But at the end of the night, after a few beers and liquid courage, they stumbled up the steps and one fell right face planted in my lap. Between, it's a good thing she didn't hit that big steering wheel. And my hands went up. Are you okay, ma'am? She pulls herself up, her hair's all tousled and hanging down. Oh, God, I'm so drunk. No shit. I mean, every guy would love to see a pretty woman faceplant down there, but I'm like, get off of me. I didn't say it. I'd be professional. And I heard somebody behind me as I'm driving back. Man, I'm so horny. That bus driver's looking good. I'm like, I did not need to hear that. Grown women. My day stuck up. Get a few beers in them. Absolutely zero self-control. And that's what we do as guys. Oh, she's hot. That's all she's got going for her. Nothing else. She's a drunken cat. You know, I'm sorry. The older I get, women were made for one thing. They were made to be our helper. Not out there unattended, running loose, being feminist. No. And now they want to be over us and they want to compete on us and ruin our lives. It's crazy. And I saw it as a bus driver. I saw, man, these girls are all nasty. So much of this in our society. And guess what? These churches that have the largest meteoric rise are driven by good-looking women that operate on feelings, nothing more than feelings. Pastors, ministers contradicting this should not be paid, should not be attended to. You should not sit at their feet. That's not my opinion. That's a fact. And now it's 2025. I'm sad. I'm a hopeless romantic. Sometimes my love for ships, you tend to put a life into a vessel. And I saw some beautiful footage last spring of the once glorious, majestic SS United States being towed by a tugboat skipper from her home, her last port in Philly, down along the east coast of the U.S. and around Florida to Mobile, Alabama. And he took some great video, posted on Facebook. And the pictures were beautiful. It showed storm clouds, it showed the waves. And he interviewed him. He said, people don't realize I'm towing a ship nearly 1,000 feet long. And when you got 25-foot waves, and this ship is not under its own power, you're just trying to keep it away from the coast. That's why he went out. The wind is pushing the ship like this, and the tug's all the way out here, trying to pull the opposite direction. That must have been a hell of a ride. But he took pictures, and you could imagine, with rust and faded paint, it looked like she was sailing out there. They removed the smokestacks, took all the windows and funnels off, and the rudders and or not the rudder, but the propellers and the anchors, and she looks horrible. Been stripped. And Oskaloosa paid millions of dollars to deep six this to make an artificial reef. And it's nowhere near Oskaloosa. It's 130 miles out in the ocean. And all these divers are salivating to be able to dive this. I'm not a diver. That ship had a solid steel hull underneath it that was thicker than any ocean liner. She set the speed record for transatlantic crossing that still stands to this day. And it angers me because the United States put her in mothballs in it's either 67 or 71, sat down in Norfolk, Virginia, captain changed light bulbs and kept the dehumidifiers going. All the way up in the 80s, early 90s, the ship looked good. Then they towed it to Turkey to remove all the asbestos and gutted it down to the steel shell. NCL was going to buy it. Different people were going to buy it, reconvert it. They said it would cost more to retrofit it. The original engines were still in it. No longer operable because you don't have the parts or the technology. And it's sick. They let it sit and rot. And it sucks that they're going to drop her. If I was a multi-billionaire, I would have bought the thing. I would have done something with it. What would you have done? I don't know. I would have had every square inch of her sandblasted, the steel repaired. I would have called in some engineers and said, all right, rewire her, replumb her, cut a hole in the hull and put new engines in her, and let's get this beast going. And let's make it faster than it ever was. I wrote a story called The Voyage of the Microroom. And in that story, that was one part of it, I did just that. We restored the SS United States exactly as it was when it was launched in 52, except we changed the engines. And instead of doing nearly 40 knots, she did 85 miles an hour at full speed. People think, Mike, you can't do that. In my book, I could do whatever I wanted. I hate seeing a piece of beautiful ocean liner history sunk. That ship is a picture of our current country. Faded, rusting, rotting. I don't know if you guys are able to look at this, and I'm a flag-waving patriot. But the SS United States, go look at her pictures right now. That looks like America today. Corroding, rotting, in dire need of repairs. It's very sad. The greatest ship, the greatest country, both suffering the same fate. Gut rot. Young ladies, gut rot. I've got looks, but nothing else. Guys that got false bravado, spend all their money on a lift kit truck and make a bunch of noise. Ooh, wow, you're really leaving an impact on the world, little boy. Little boys and their little toys. Spend more time talking about their stupid twuck than anything that matters. And women aren't chasing men, they're chasing dogs. And women have children, and children are worse than they are. And we got political leaders with their hands in the cookie jar. And we got preachers in America that are CEOs and millionaires with mansions. That's why I believe Jesus' return is near. Manners, morals, even me. As I texted my friend yesterday, you have more integrity than I do. You have more character than me. My mind is a sexual cesspool. You see Paul Joseph Watson or Benny Johnson or Candace Owens or any of them putting themselves out there like that? And Candace Owens is a nutbag. I used to like her. She's a nut job. Nut job. These people are all about their dang little egos. And they're making money. Why are they paying Candace Owens? To buy her boring, overpriced outfits? It's sad what's going on. People that make a lot of money are just wasting it on crap. But you know what? I have a clear conscience because every dollar that I've earned has been legit. I didn't earn it showing my titties. I didn't earn it by dealing drugs. I didn't earn it by kissing somebody's butt or sucking somebody's wang. I earned it by old-fashioned rolling my sleeves, hurt when I go to bed, hard work. And the next time a black person tells me I've got privilege, I wish I could pull a gazoo on them and elevate them 36,000 feet in the air and say, you're going to stay there and time out for 3 days. Because I'm getting sick of that. Let me know when I can cash in my privilege card, black community. I'm waiting. I haven't been able to use it yet. I haven't been fortunate enough to produce a song that says mofo, N-I-G-G-A, and make millions of dollars on it. I still haven't learned how to do that. Let me know when I can cash in my privilege card. Maybe I should be the first guy that sings about my neck, my back, my ball sack, and my crack. Maybe I should have a male version of WAP. My wet ASS-DICK, and make tons of money. Oh, yeah. Privilege? The only privilege I have is that I have eternal life, and that's not because of me, it's because of God and His grace. I'm not John MacArthur, I'm not David Jeremiah, I'm not Chuck Swindoll, I'm not Joel Osteen, I'm Michael Nelson. I'm not a pastor, nor would I ever be. But you'll get more honest truth here, more real, vulnerable transparency than you will with any of those cats I just mentioned. Even preaching has become a corporate thing. They come up and dispense the word of God, and they carry themselves in a suit and a tie and have little jokes for the old ladies, and everything is scripted and acted. I don't have to act. You know what the Bible says? Be transformed by the renewing of your mind. And until I get there, I'm going to continue to be who I am. The word professional is not in Holy Writ. Challenge you, read the whole Bible. Tell me where the word professional is. It's not in there. Neither is ginormous. And it's interesting. I was looking at the fruits of the Spirit and doing a study. The word bitch is not in there. Mike, what are you talking about? I looked. To be a bitch is not in the scripture. Mike, what are you saying? More Christian women have no fruit, but they got the bitch part mastered. Can somebody show me the translation where that says that being a bitch as a woman is a fruit of the Spirit? But you're worried about my clothing. This is an article of fabric. This stuff that I'm talking about, when a grown man pick up teenagers he doesn't know and a stupid acting coach that I do not know that are blowing up because they didn't get their toy fancy bus and throw a snit fit about it, and the girls treat me like crap for 3 days. Which is more dangerous, me wearing this shirt or that? Throwing things at the back of my head. Nothing hard, just little things, spitballs, who knows what. Stupid broads. I wish I could put all of them on the bus and sit in the back and throw things. Man, what are you doing? Do you remember when you did that to me? Who are you? Remember when I drove you all cats to St. Cloud? Huh? Yeah, you didn't get a coach bus? Oh, your brain has too much helium in it. You probably can't remember that far back. When I took Superior Senior High year after year. Girls are sickening. They're just awful. And we were taught as boys they were made of sugar and spice and everything nice. That's a lie. That is a lie. I'd rather haul a bunch of farting hockey team or football team being retarded on the bus than girls. My gosh. At least boys, you expect them to be retarded at that age. Nope. Unless God has other plans, I'm done working with children. I don't want nothing to do with that anymore. There's young people that come out of my channel, and I'll encourage them. But I'm done. I don't want to drive no bus no more. I'll drive it empty. I wish my life could be a Hollywood movie. I wish our school system would fail so bad and somebody stood up and said, why don't you bring Mike Nelson back and put him in charge? Mike, we fired him. He racist. He ain't racist. He told the truth. Nobody in here likes to tell the truth. Put him in charge. Watch him be the next Joe Clark. Nope. You don't get to win elections that way. Elections are staged. We got one party trying to create a coup d'etat and take over unlawfully. We've got people to get positions because of a paper degree that's worth the same amount as a piece of toilet paper. They don't put people ever in leadership that are qualified and know what they're doing. I've seen it all my life. It's nepotism. It's favoritism. And now it's not just guys sucking up to the girl or the girl sucking up to the guy. Now you got guys blowjobbing another guy to get into positions and be ignored for all of the sins they commit. And when you're a Christian in this world, you better hope that you have the favor of God on you, because you ain't going to have it out there. But Michael did these kind of trips and routes for years. You think I wasn't nervous? You think I didn't feel that grinding inside, that uncomfortable? Like, wow, I got to be with this group of nasty women for 3 days? I'm a people person. To be ignored, to be treated like that, to feel hostility in a 40-foot bread box? You think you got confidence, you little trolls? Let's see you do that. You couldn't, and you wouldn't last a day. I know what suffering is. Me just doing my job. That's all I have to do to get suffering. Me just leaving my house and getting on the road. And you got idiots trying to make your life and your commute unpleasant and unsafe. I have my problems, and I know what they are. But I have more Christian virtue in me than most of these so-called Christians today that won't even follow the speed limit and won't treat people right and show favoritism to clowns that are not qualified. I'll tell you what, I've seen stuff that even when I retell the story, I can't believe I went through that, but I did. You say that you love me. I know that it ain't true. Don't you wish your girlfriend was a freak like me? Don't you? There's a good attitude song. I sang that at karaoke in the Philippines, and all the ladies got a kick out of that. They saw me standing there with the mic. They saw the bottom of the screen, Don't You? They said, hey, who next? Who picked Don't You? Because it's a girl song. I'd get up there and sing it, and I would dance, and I would show out. Don't you? Wow, Mike, you funny. Then they come up and start banging their hips into me and want to dance. Christians in America, did you ever hear about just having fun and cutting loose a little? So I put on a girl's top. So what? Is that an abomination, really? Do you drive your car the way you're supposed to as a Christian? Then shut up. Because I bet you don't. I tell you what, it wasn't until I went through school bus training that I realized I was not a good driver. Until I started driving commercial. And even commercial drivers today are just, they're an abomination. They're an absolute tyrants on the road. They're throwing anybody in an 18-wheeler. I'm coming through dang Memphis in my truck. I'm in a through lane and a merging freeway comes. This truck rounded that corner so fast, his trailer wheels, I'm like, sheesh. I swooshed to the left lane that quick. There was nobody there, thank God. He didn't wait for the white line to become dotted. He just whooshed on over. I'm like, that guy has no business driving a truck. He needs one of those three-wheeled things with the tassels and the little bell. Ring, ding, mommy. Let's start with that. Get him out of that 52-footer reefer. Get him off the road. Oh, I wish I had the authority to shut that down. Every SUV ought to be sent to the crusher. Save the planet from bad drivers, overpriced, stupid pieces of crap that consume more fuel. And when that plastic burns that's in it really smells good for the air, right? We're not preserving anything but stupidity. The internet, TikTok has become a museum of stupidity. Young girls showcasing their narcissism, their obsession with their silly little selves. It's bad, folks. So on that note, Happy New Year. On to better and bigger things, but will they get better this year? I don't know. I had to come down here to learn one of the Black songs. There's trouble on my way. I have to cry sometimes. Oh, Jesus, he will fix it after a while. After a while. May not be now. But as the blacks used to say, Sundays are coming. It may be Friday, but Sundays are coming. Picture Louis Armstrong with his gravelly voice saying that. Puts a little more pull to it. Sundays are coming, folks. And you know what I'm learning? Every race in this country is jacked up. Everybody. You just got one that whines the loudest. You can always tell the one that messed their diaper that makes the loudest noise. That'd be Exhibit B over there, the usual suspects, always whining and fussing about racism and discrimination. Yep, they're not getting the attention they want, so they got to shake their rattles again. But white people, white women, we white men created this monster. We put these nasty little girls on a pedestal from when they're very young, and they're the same ones cleaning out your cash register, taking your property, taking your hard-earned money, and taking your balls and putting them back in your mouth and making you eat them. But, oh, she's hot. I'm hotter than most of these women at 59, and they don't want me because I'm not worthy of them. No, honey, flip this script right now. You ain't worthy of me. You're a liability. And you got one thing, your looks, nothing else. You have no heart and soul. Don't give me a woman with no heart and soul. I'd rather grow old and live alone and have peace of mind. My mind. I am tired of the bill of goods we're being sold in this country. I would rather have a friendship with a cross-dressing male than try to get a date with these narcissist, stuck-up, nasty juvenile women. At least I can have an intelligent conversation with a man who cross-dresses. And no, I don't have designs on him. I'm not into a penis. I mean, there's times that we all get horny and the breeze blows across your little thin shorts and you get a boner. But God's word is true. He said, I will send a helper suitable for you. And you got women saying, well, maybe it's just not time. It is never going to be time, honey. Stop lying to me. Well, maybe you're not ready for the right one. Honey, you're not ready ever. Ever. Don't be analyzing me. Analyze yourself. Yourself. That's Y-O. I love how women set themselves up as clinical experts, clinical psychologists, medical experts. This guy has anger management issues. Are you a medical queen? No, I work in the back Walmart putting stock away. Oh, okay, so you're not an expert in that kind of thing, huh? Just thought I'd get some, contrast here. I love women. I love them too much. I spend too much time looking at their bodies online. And in my fallen dark flesh, you know what I've noticed? The Bible calls it unnatural. But it's really weird how this happens because I see two women being sensual to each other. They're really good at it. In fact, it looks more natural than that pretty woman with me or another man. Go take a look at these hot women. Go take a look and you will find a man that bows to her. You'll find her moody with her arms crossed. Listen to their conversation. 99% helium. No substance. And I'm going to say it again. The more petite and attractive a woman is, the bigger liability she is. What's up with that? It's called the purebred syndrome. I used to walk dogs in Hong Kong. And one of the ladies I walked her dog for was a Irish Setter Cocker Spaniel mix. Beautiful. Red dog. Floppy ears. The most worthless dog I've ever walked in my life. Pull, sniff, stop, pull, sniff, stop, pull, sniff, stop, pull, sniff, pull, sniff. Oh man, I can't walk with this thing. Then there was a Chinese lady who had a mongrel. Man, was that a good looking dog. Bigger, had the pointy ears. That dog looked like a macho dog. And when I went walking up Victoria Peak, which is straight up, that dog was Dodge Charger, man. I'm just holding the leash. I could have put on roller skates and went, boom. I walked fast. I finally had a dog that pulled at my high speed. I said, I love this thing. I'd look at that dog. I said, let's go full throttle, dog. We walked Victoria Peak. But Ashley, that was the photograph dog. She was the girl dog. Stop, sniff, stop, sniff, stop, Smith, sniff. And the Chinese ladies, oh, photo, photo. I thought they wanted me to take their picture. Oh, no. They want to put their beautiful arm around me and have the dog in front and have somebody take a picture, her hugging an American with a red dog. Wow, she hugged me and she's cute. My picture's floating around all over Southeast Asia, folks. Lots of women. Women that were married. Their Chinese husbands. They get off the ferry down over there in Kowloon. Then they got their own Avenue of the Stars. Jackie Chan, Bruce Lee. They got their handprint in the cement. And they got statues of movie projectors and producers, and looks like doing casting. I'd sit there on the rail watching ships. Excuse me. Oh, yes. Photo. Oh, yeah. And I'm getting ready to grab their camera. Okay. And some woman I don't even know is putting her arm around me, pushing her breast into my shoulder and leaning over and kissing me on the chops. And her husband's taking a picture grinning with that crap-eating grin on his face. Wow, you're letting your wife kiss on my cheek. Okay. I was on the ferry, and Chinese from mainland were over at the Silver Mine Beach Resort in Lantau, in Moi Wah, and they flooded the ship. Oh my gosh, were those Chinese natives cute? Some of them had that little bowl haircut and a little pinch out and stuff. And a guy came downstairs. I was down on the bottom, the stern of the ship. Could you come up? My wife wants to know if you American. They all say now you're handsome. Oh, okay then. Man, all them women hugged on me, wanted their pictures. One of the ladies looked like she was deep into the villages. Very traditional Chinese. I'm like, Michael, you're having a National Geographic moment right now. so soft and pretty. And a woman saying, "You're so handsome. You're so beautiful." Wow, American women don't even tell me that. Nice. And she's prettier than all the ones that give me the attitude. Woo! I've lived and I've seen, and I thank God I went to the other side to realize, no, I don't have mental issues. The only mental issues I have is why our society does this and think it's okay. That's the only mental tripping I have. If you want to look at white women and look at where there's a real problem, look at the fashion. They comment on me. Look at what white women wear. Look at the fact we got a store called Dress Barn or Caprice. Fugly, no passion, corporate, crappy, ridiculous clothing. Remember when girls were young and they had those McCalls cut out? Could make a dress. Ugly, passionless, boring, should be against the law. These Chinese women in the Filipinos over there dress so pretty and cute and feminine and that style. I come over here and every American woman's face is the same. It's pretty. Stern, unapproachable, rest me biatch face. Boring. I think I'm going to leave the channel, Whitley. Mr. Nelson, why are you leaving? I've got a voyage. I'm tired of these damsels here. I think I'm going to take a trip across the sea and find me a lassie. Is it that bad, Mr. Nelson? But of course. They say I'm not worthy of them. Really? Yes. Well, good luck to you, Mr. Nelson. I'll miss you. I always liked chatting with you, but, you have the biological needs of a man. Enjoy yourself, but do be careful. But of course, I will go lose myself for a moment. And before I free fall too much, I'll grab myself and pull the parachute at the last minute. A lot of women don't realize that when some of us go over there, we get an education that enlightens and empowers us men. We find beautiful women that want us, beautiful women that throw themselves at us. No strings attached. Not everybody's a Visa gold digging catfisher. Here I can't even get a date. I don't even drink coffee. I can't even get a date with a hot girl at all in Augusta, anywhere in the U.S. today. Not going to happen. Not going to happen. I've had plenty of flirts on my channel. I mean, that's all well and good and it's all cute and fun, but that's as far as that's ever going to go. But that's okay, because if you marry some of these women, you're going to have more baggage than the Titanic had steamer trunks. I struggle. Today is the start of a new year, and I struggle because I know what has been. And I wish that I could be unburdened by what has been, like Crapola used to say. Thank God we were unburdened by her. That was the most beautiful part of the whole election. We have finally been unburdened by what has been. Bye, Felicia. You did not win the election. And when you got women trying to get power, and you hear what these women are saying, men, you better grab your nuts. When you got a Kamala Harris and an AOC and you listen to stuff that comes out of their mouth, they want to destroy us. Fight. Don't allow it. Men, be free. Stop hiding behind your beer can, your gun, and your pickup truck and your stupid football game. Be men. I loved it when the Titanic was sinking and Captain Smith said, "Be British." What is that supposed to mean? They are British. Can you imagine if the Titanic happened today? Wait, I gotta get a selfie. You had millionaires. Mr. and Mrs. Isidore Strauss owned the famous Macy's department store in New York. Wouldn't they have a reason to get in the boat? Oh no. They stood on deck. We are ready to go down together. Wow. You got to be kidding me. 1912 millionaires willingly laid their life aside so women and children go first? Yes. Then by the time you get up to 1956, when the Andrea Doria sank, all the crew members deserted the ship and left everybody on the Doria as it's starting to turn over. Nice. And then guess what? The captain deserted the, what the heck was the name of that thing that they got too close to the rocks and tipped the whole thing over? Costa Concordia. Boy, was that dumb. They said that if he had hit a rock and got too far out, they said that would have been worse than the Titanic. That thing was so big and heavy, and the lifeboats would have been able to lower on one side, and that water was so cold, they would have been done. That guy got jailed for that. If you don't want to be the captain, then don't take the position. Even as a school bus driver with all them snotty brat girls, my job, if there's a disaster, is to protect their sorry butts. I didn't watch the movie. I saw a clip on YouTube called Straight Outta Compton. Black bus driver, black students on a school bus, and a carload of some tough-ass black men riding alongside, and the one kid's, waving at him, don't flipping him off, and car speeds up, cuts off the bus, blocking it. Bus driver locks on the brakes, and one guy gets out brandishing a weapon. Open the door. Comes up that bus and walks up and tough talks that kid. You little trolls that are nothing but shit stains on a toilet bowl, let me tell you something. As a bus driver, I have to make a decision. What if a car pulled in front of me and a guy got out with a gun demanding I open the door? And I got all these kids on there. Well, I'm going to lose my life. That's what I'm going to do. Because I'm going to put that pedal down and that car's going to be pushed until it can't be pushed. I'm going to go, bye, Felicia. I'll worry about job and apologies later, but I am not going to let somebody get on and shoot the kids. You think I'm not tough? No, I'm not as big as some of you. I don't fight that way. But if I've got to be the captain, then I've got to be the captain whether I want to be the captain or not. It would really be nice if somebody's a president or a politician that they fill the office and do what they're supposed to do. And these preachers making millions of dollars, sick, buying mansions and everything, telling us that do not lay up for yourselves treasures on this earth. What are you doing, clown boy? Get out of the pulpit. Go get a plumber's job. Go get a job. Quit fleecing the sheep bull and hiding under a steeple. I don't care what people think of me. The suits and ties, they're the biggest clowns in the universe. As long as I got my suit and tie, I can screw you up the butt cheeks. And they are. Go to the store this week and see how much your grocery prices went up. Look at your property tax statement this year and see how much that went up. I hope for a better new year. It may or may not be. If I make it to another year, we'll be doing a review next time this year. Or this time next year. Let's get that straight. And men. What have men become today? I've bashed on the women. Let's bash on the men. They think they're tough because they can rev a gas pedal. What a skill. I mean, think about all the skill it takes to push a pedal down. You're stupid. You're Neanderthal. What are you defined by? Your twuck? Your fake bravado machismo, which is a mask for blatant insecurity? These people that go down the street in my neighborhood, I've got small balls, you've got small balls, but you've got the itsy bitziest balls of them all. You know how I know? It's by what you show. You got to overcompensate by playing it so loud. You think you're pleasing the crowd. But I'm older now and I'm going to turn it off. It sounds like shit. Call that music? I call it, give me a metal trash can with a bar of steel. I'll stand out in my front yard every time you go, bam, 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 boom, bam, 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 bam. That's better than that crap you're listening to. Rap music is of the devil. And if you're offended by that, be offended. I don't care. It's crap. I don't like listening to the N-word over and over again in your same race. White guy says it, oh, you're going to burn the whole city down, but you can sing it. What part of STUPID do you not get? Black people defending their right to say the N-word. Well, we don't say N-I-G-G-E-R, we say N-I-G-G-A. Oh, variations on a theme. How do you spell stupid? That right there. It's a racial epithet, unless you use it. Do you see Mexicans calling each other spics? Do you see Asians calling each other gooks? Nope. Only the black community uses racial epithet against each other, but if a white guy says it's racist, you're not black, you don't understand. I thank God I'm not black, because I do understand. Oh, baby. Because if being black means you have more understanding than me, and you're justifying using a racial epithet, then I'm miles ahead of you intellectually. Boom, 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 boom. Next argument, clowns. I'm not afraid of the black community. I'm done. Because when you believe the truth's going to set you free. Yeah, they could hurt me. They could kill me. They could tie me up. They could shoot me. They could do whatever they want. And if they had opportunity, they would. I believe that because they don't have problem-solving skills. They don't know how to agree to disagree. You make them mad, I'm going to shoot you, I'm going to kill you. Or beat you up. Wow, good maturation. Cannot. I'm getting tired of them talking about my race. I've had enough of it. And you watch. This year will not end without racism being thrown out there again. Sick. Sick, 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 sick. Happy New Year, everybody. I don't want to be a politician because I can't play that game. If I could get enough votes to run and win and be myself and not water down who I am, I'd love to go on a Capitol Hill wearing this. Would that even be allowed? It's funny. The Democrats would be howling about me showing up in this. Wait, I thought you were all about alternative everything. At least I get stuff done and I represent the people that voted for me, unlike you clowns. Wallet. Mitch McConnell and the turtles in there with a turkey neck. Am I making fun of old age? I'm not trying to. But there comes a point where you don't need to be on deck anymore. I'm tired of it. You clowns on the left and you clowns on the right are lining your wallets and you're not doing anything. And no, I'm not going to praise the Republican Party. They need Jesus too. Guess what? Born again evangelical Christians need Jesus because I'm not seeing it. But they'll judge me for this. So I'm not allowed to be sexy. I'm supposed to look like a Christian. Well, if by your definition I need to look and act like you, well, guess what? I quit. I have more fire and more passion. I don't care what some clown growing up in a Christian environment thinks of me. They're not making a difference. The little mousy, scared little people looking down their nose at everybody because they're not as Christian as they think they ought to be. You get more fiery preaching out of this channel than you will anywhere else. And truthfully, me being honest with my struggle. You wonder why I struggle with sexual stuff so much? Because I'm a whole person, not a part. So funny, I see Christian men that make big money and they're married to a haughty 10 wife. And these men will say, you know, I want to glorify God. You want to glorify your penis, buddy. Look at who you're married. Give me a break. And she's glorifying her wallet by your bank account. I'm sorry. I've lived long enough that I have a real hard time believing that most of these unions are based on this. It's based on this, and for him, it's based on this. And women that are attractive are drawn to money like moths to a light bulb. I'd have every reason to be gay based on what I just talked about. I don't like it. I don't want that. Men cannot give me the needs. They cannot meet my needs. I mean, maybe it'd be fun to dress up in women's attire and a really good-looking, smooth man with long hair. Mike, can I take you to dinner like you're my woman? I might do that. Not doing the sexy thing. I'll sit there and pretend I'm his girl. You know what's sad? Those kind of men would throw money at me. Why should women get all this money because they got a pair of tits? Why is that? And they talk about discrimination. They talk about unequal pay. You're right. Look at the internet. Look at all the twat females out there that have no content, whether they're young girls with glossy goopla all over their faces and shirts more provocative than this. And all the men, balding, big old pot gut. I really like your channel. I'm sure you do, old timer. Rev it up, baby. Yeah, women have an unfair advantage, all right. They got a privilege card I don't got. Black's got a privilege card I don't got. I mean, OJ can drive on the LA freeway system playing la, 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 with the whole LAPD helicopters, no spike strips, no bullets. Up in my way, in my beautiful Ford Bronco. Let me do that. Let me be accused of taking out a celeb, big tot woman with a rich Jewish jeweler man, Ronald Goldman, and let's see if I could get that kind of treatment. They would have blown my truck up, spike strips, filled it full of bullet holes, would have looked worse than Bonnie and Clyde's car. Who the hell is telling me I got privilege? Liars. Liars. I'm watching what's happening to this country. They are going to try to steal our properties. They're going to try to price us out of existence. They're already doing it now. These scuzzy, corporate, disgusting people are buying houses in my neighborhood, buying them out, turning them into rentals, renting them out, letting them go to hell, not fixing them up, just so they can rake profit. It's interesting. The book of James is talking about all these different things, and it's almost like a random. He's talking about Christians watching our tongue, don't show partiality, don't blame God when you're tempted, blah, blah, blah. Woe to you, rich men, weep and howl for the miseries that shall come upon you. You've hoarded wealth in the last days. That's talking about right now. The corporations are evil today. They're gouging you. Those politicians on Capitol Hill do not want you to do as well as they do. Stop believing the lie. Stop believing that lie. Nancy Pelosi, AOC, they don't want you to earn the amount of money and privilege that they have. They're trying to cock-block it every chance they get. I'm not making that up. That's the truth. That's not no conspiracy theory. Zuckerberg bought all the property around him away so that nobody could build up close to him. They don't want you rich like them. George Soros, that guy is a demonic manifestation. He needs to be executed for his part in the atrocities of World War II Germany. What a disgusting piece of crap. Funding all this mayhem in the U.S. Justice? We say the Pledge of Allegiance. It doesn't mean a damn thing anymore. Justice and liberty for all. No, liberty for the clowns, injustice for those of us that follow the rules and pay our taxes and try to do right. Happy New Year, everybody. It's going to get better, I hope. When conservatives and Christians get a fire under their butt cheeks and we start vocally becoming bolder like lions and saying, no more. But people are comfortable. They got their little world in the internet. They got their little TV and their little Starbucks, their little doggies. They're not rocking the walls of hell. In fact, the devil's going, I got these clowns right where I got them. The little comfort zone. Yep. God won't let my life be comfortable. He will not do it. I try to get there, and he will not do it. Right when things are going good. Man, God, what'd you do that for? Trying to grow you, boy. Yeah, well, I'm tired of all this suffering. It's the only way to grow, boy. Well, God, can you let off? No, boy. You want to be die-cast metal, or do you want to be refined as gold? The little Hot Wheels you spend too much for, they're another $1.18 now. They finally busted the dollar mark a year ago. How is this stuff getting stuck in here? Stupid bag. These things are always stupid bags. There's a trend. Do trolls have body odor? I bet you they do. I don't. Because I'm not a troll. Thanks for listening. This was a fun little rant. I know it's a little on the negative side, but it's the truth. You have to have positive and negative to get electricity. And I'm going to say this one more time. Y'all, them people that come on here complaining about my attire, it's those people wearing the suits and ties that are getting rich. And they're lying to you. And they're using this to deceive you. And they're cashing in all the way to the bank. Why aren't we holding all of these people, even David Jeremiah? Why aren't people saying, why are you worth $50 million as a minister of the gospel? How can you justify that? They don't have the suffering we do. Even as a Christian, they got the best health care. They live in their fancy home. They don't got to hear, they don't got to deal with what we got to. What, you're telling me that those that go in the ministry, God gives special protection only to them? Look at the way they're elevated and pedestalized. But I met Baptist preachers. I met a guy in Soda Springs, Idaho. I drove the bus from South Hill Bible Church down there years ago. Long day of drive to get down there. Sun was beginning to set. I said, hey, where's the store around here? I need to get myself food because I got allergies and I got to cook my own stuff. Mike, let me take you. This simple, humble preacher man told me in the car, I'm so glad you guys came. Mike, it is so dark down here. I said, I have a Mormon sister. And I graduated high school in Arizona, a lot of Mormons there. I said, I'm well aware of the Mormon dynamic. And he goes, oh, it's all Mormon down here. He said, they sneer at me. My wife and I, this is a hard field to work. He was so happy to have us, other Christians, come and encourage him. He wasn't pulling down big money. Nobody in America is going on and on about him. Those that are making the money now, they got their reward. That goes for you Christians. In heaven, you're going to be surprised to find they may not have any. Because talk is easy. Living is another. Now, God knows the heart. Not me. I don't got no time for $1 million preachers. When you got preachers in the Philippines working full time and trying to be a pastor of 3 or 4 churches in a certain area because they have a commitment to get the truth of God out, even at great expense and energy to their own selves. And John Maxwell is going to charge $90,000 to $200,000 for an event. A servant of the people or a servant of your wallet? I'm done with that generation. They need to be analyzed, and they are wrong. They're marketing the gospel. They're marketing Christianity, and that's shameful. Jesus, the angels did not show up to CEOs. They showed up to lowly shepherds. They didn't choose the Fortune 500 couple. They chose humble Mary that nobody even knew who she was. When they were being derogatory about Jesus, isn't this the son of that carpenter? That carpenter, the carpenter. You think God is going to wink at all that? Lear jets, mansions, pimping for Jesus. Using the pulpit to pimp. I got to go, folks. For those of you listening, find a Bible teaching church. No church is perfect. None. But find one that's teaching the truth. Find a pastor that loves people and isn't compromising the word. Get yourself in it. And I'm not going to listen to a video saying how to have a better new year. We don't know what this year holds. God could bring intense suffering on all of us, and it's not going to be better. But what can be good is this. If we're in His will, and we're doing what we're supposed to, and God is with us, then that's all that matters. God is not always concerned with our happiness. He does tell us this, though, and this is a hard one for Michael. Count it all joy. Count it all joy. Easy for these big fat cats in the pulpit to tell you can have joy in God, to depend on Him. Do you depend on Him? You got a pretty big bank account to be saying that one. Let me pull that financial rug out from under you. Let me be in charge of your money. I know some people around the world that could use that to really do good things for God. Let's see how much you trust God after we rip that financial and that house and that fancy car and put you right down here where you got to get a job like me. I believe 50% of all evangelical preachers in the United States were not called by God and have no business being in the pulpit. They didn't want to work. They just wanted to make money preaching the word. I didn't start my channel with that intent. But you guys, some of you that listen to me, you'll throw money at foolishness out there. I didn't make or mandate anybody pay me, but I just think it's funny. Where your heart is, there's where your treasure will be. So if you like supporting mental trash on the internet, and then you're going to come over here and tell me, well, you shut down the chat, or you're wearing that top. You're not donating anything. You don't got to say. You want to pay me a salary to make me quit my job? Okay. I'll put on a nice shirt. But I will never change the core of what is inside this. Only God can do that. Happy New Year, everybody. Hope you all survived the night. Now to figure out what to do with my sorry self today. I'm so tired of work, I want to be a lazy pig today. Eat and just lounge around, do puzzle, listen to music. Thanks for listening. Everybody have an awesome day. Everybody have an awesome new year. And let's hope for better things for all of us. We pray for the president. We pray for these people in Washington that have destructive, selfish agendas, that God will stop them. We pray for those in authority that we may live peaceable lives. That's what the Bible tells us to do. And a word to my viewers. I got a message from Colette when I woke up this morning. She said, I'll be home soon. She's doing better. I'm shocked. I'm really happy. Your prayers are coveted. Don't stop. Please continue to pray for Bridge. She sent me the ship in the bottle, but I haven't heard anything from her. I actually care about those I've gotten to know through the channel. Even though I've never seen them face to face, I always realize when we're dealing with people on the internet, there's a human being on the other side of that phone. Being rude and nasty is not what God wants us to do. I know sometimes I could be snippy and fire back right at them, but I have to tell myself it's okay to call them out. But if you don't agree with something on the internet, you don't go and be mean-spirited. You better ask yourself, do you love and care about this person? That why you're saying that, or are you just being a butt? One of the fruits of the Spirit is not being a butt. Just remember that. Thanks, folks. Till next time, be safe.